Well, hello everyone. Happy Friday and welcome to another live lawn care Q&A. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. If this is the first time you've joined the channel or the live stream, first of all, welcome. Happy to have you here. The way this works, super simple. On your screen, you're going to see a chat box. In that chat box, you drop your question, comment, concern of the day, and I work through them in the order they come in. Sometimes I have the answers, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have a great time talking about lawn care. All right, so let's see what we have in the chat tonight. We got Your Nightmare is up first. He says, hey, Ron, I didn't have the opportunity to probably take care of my lawn this year. As a result, I have an outbreak of spurge and dandelions. That sounds like less fun. And he has a follow-up here where he says, I have a conflict right now of what to do, putting down pre-emergent or putting down a post-emergent on the yard or not doing anything. I'm in New Mexico for Zone 7A and I have Bermuda. What would Ron Henry do? Well, I don't know what your temps are in New Mexico, but they're probably a bit warmer than they are here in Georgia. Today, we had a high of 74, and it's 70 degrees right now, so it's like ranging between the low 50s up to the low 70s, so fairly cool weather. But spurge is a relatively easy weed to kill, or at least to seriously injure to where it becomes not a problem as much anymore, Your Nightmare. So if it were me, I would do both. I would still target it with a post-emergent, and I would get your pre-emergent down. Again, I don't know what the temps are in New Mexico. Typically, you guys tend to be a bit warmer than we are, but and obviously it depends on where you are in the state. But I would do both. I would still go after that spurge, and I would definitely apply some pre-emergent because, I mean, even though for my calendar you're a little bit late to the game, you're still going to be better off than if you not put down any at all. So a couple of options for getting rid of spurge. If you want easy, you said you have Bermuda grass. An inexpensive way, a product that works fairly well is Spectricide. This stuff is not that expensive. You can find it, sometimes on sale for under $10, but typically for under 15 bucks a bottle. You can find this at your local big box stores, Home Depot. It does a really good job against spurge. That's not a really difficult one to kill. And then for your pre-emergent, you have a couple of options between dithiopyr or prodiamine. There's tons of different options. But I can also take you to the golf course lawn store and show you some of the more exotic offerings. So if you decide that Spectricide is fine, but you want to step it up, you go to the store, go to the weed killer section, and then in there you will find Celsius. Celsius is really good against spurge. It's a lot more expensive, and if all you're trying to treat is spurge, it's probably overkill for that. But as far as one of the best products you can use on broadleafs and a bunch of other weeds in your lawn, it's really tough to beat Celsius. So this is what I would use, that along with a spreader sticker. That's what I would roll with, this combination, this guy and this guy. It was going to do a really good job for a post-emergent herbicide. Now, on to pre-emergent. So you have a couple of options. You got dithiopyr and you got prodiamine. Either one of these are going to work well. If I could only choose, let's say you're going to rotate between the spring and the fall between dithiopyr and prodiamine, I would lean towards using prodiamine in the fall and use dithiopyr in the spring. Even though you didn't make any mention about crabgrass, dithiopyr can target young crabgrass in the springtime, which makes it makes it a better choice for that time of year, in my opinion, than prodiamine. You can use either one at any time, but if you're asking me what I would do, I would get prodiamine and use that now. It's a little bit cheaper. And then also in the spring, if you're going to rotate, go to dithiopyr, assuming you don't already have a pre-emergent that you're after already picked out. So yeah, if you ask me what I would do, I would still try and knock the spurge back, and I would get a pre-emergent down. So I would actually do both. Doing nothing is definitely what I would not do, because that sounds like a good plan until you've got a lawn full of POA and just you're in other words, if you don't do anything now, it's going to make your spring a lot more painful. You're going to end up having to get a post-emergent herbicide, probably a couple of different rounds of it to clean things up. So for me, I would lean towards going after the spurge now. Again, spurge is really not that a difficult one to injure and knock back. Great question, sir. Thanks for leading us off. So guys, some news. Tomorrow was supposed to be the Real Rollers Turf Park Party. Hurricane Ian came through, and a couple of days ago we thought it was going to come through Georgia enough to where it was going to affect the weather here. It's taking more of an west or easterly track, and it's going to go up across Myrtle Beach, that area. So we're not going to probably get too much weather from it. Either way, just out of an abundance of caution, the Turf Park Party has been postponed 1 week. Still going to have it. So instead of it being tomorrow, it's going to be a week from tomorrow on October 8th. Some of you guys are going to be thrilled about that, because I did get a lot of emails from people that were planning to travel out of state, and some people that were also local that were saying, man, I really wanted to go to the Turf Park Party, but I've got stuff to do today. Some people, it was their birthdays. Other people had other stuff going on. So it's been postponed, but it will still happen on October 8th. So 1 week from tomorrow at Real Rollers, I will have a link in the description to where you can RSVP. Actually, I'll put it in there now. Why not? So if you guys are interested in RSVPing for the event, you can drop that in right here. You put your information in there. And then also the video that I did with Lee from Real Rollers, I've updated that. The title's been changed to reflect the 8th, and the notes in the description have also been changed to reflect the 8th as well. So hope to see a lot of you guys out there. It's a week from tomorrow. Should be a great time. I will have the outlet, the cartridge back for the outlet, so it'll be all sharpened up, fresh and good to go. And I'll bring it out there. I'm not sure if we'll mow with it. We'll see. We'll see what you guys want to do. But we'll bring it out there. At least you guys get to see it. And the Green Smash will also be out there. And then there'll be a host of other mowers, games, all that fun jazz. So definitely make it out if you can. Not this Saturday, but Saturday from 8 days from now at the Real Rollers Turf Park in Buford, Georgia. It's going to be a great, great time. Promise. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, next up, we have VMH in the show. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. I wish the rain would come here. It's been more than 22 days without rain, and none is projected for the next few weeks. Wow, man. That's a long time. Here's the thing. We've had a bit of a dry spell here lately in September. It's dried off quite a bit. I've had to run irrigation a couple of times, and we definitely haven't had rain in September like we have had in August. So not quite as bad as what you're going through, where you've had 22 days without rain, but it's starting to dry up here a bit, man. So sending good vibes your way, good thoughts your way. Hopefully you guys get some wet weather here soon. And guys, since VMH is in the house, I want to save this for later, but since he's here, he's a bit of an engineer. He was the guy that took the rotary mower, fabricated his own front and rear roller for it, and now he's stepped it up. He's taken his engineering skills to another level. He got a Fiskars mower, which if you guys are familiar with that, it's a push reel mower, a manual push reel mower, and he wasn't happy with that. So if you want to check out some of the cool stuff he's done here, is take a look at this picture. So he took the mower, and I'm actually gonna get his chat off of here, and you can see he's added a mower, a motor to it, a speed controller to it, and then you can see he got his little chain drive. So now his reel is powered, which is kind of cool. Now the only thing VMH I would have liked to see is you got to send me a video at some point of this actually in action, of you actually running it. But you got to hand it to the man. You can see the reel is spinning. You can see how it's, the reel is blurred. So he's actually running it. It does work. But we got to see how this thing cuts, man. We got to see how this thing does. You see how in the back he's got the bigger wheels in the back? That's his rolling system. So it's very cool, man. You're definitely quite the engineer, sir. Little side shot action. Now here's the thing, man. You might have to fabricate a guard for this. The safety, the Ranger Rick in me, the safety Rick in me is telling you definitely want to put something to protect that, so that finger or something else doesn't go in there, but also that you keep debris and stuff out of there too. You don't want to take a chance of messing up your chain or sprocket or anything like that. Close-up shot. Very, very, very cool, man. Nice work. Nice work. It's a really cool setup that you got going on there. All, again, it's, you definitely are have a way around, designing things mechanical. So looks cool. If you can, send me a video of it, like a short video of it, and I'll show everyone it running, because it looks really, really cool. It looks like it's very well sorted out, and that it should work fairly well. Awesome. Awesome stuff. So guys, we had a question from last week. I'm trying to go through also my notes here. We had a question last week about Nitro Blitz, and I'm not sure that the viewers in the chat, but from Taylor Johnson last week. He says, what do you think of the fall Nitro Blitz for cool season lawns? I saw a video saying to do this instead of overseeding. So I looked it up, and what Nitro Blitz is, unless I'm mistaken, is basically spoon feeding. So you're trying to get to about 1 pound of nitrogen, and you do that in a couple different ways. You can do 1/4 pound of nitrogen every week, or you can do 1/2 pound of nitrogen every 2 weeks to get to about 1 pound of nitrogen in a month. And I guess the idea behind it is by spoon feeding the lawn, you're going to help push growth a bit faster. But I mean, I've not heard the term Nitro Blitz, but essentially, again, assuming that the resources that I found online are accurate, is really referring to spoon feeding. So that was a question I had from last week. Wanted to answer it. I said I would. So Taylor, if you're in the chat, then you're good to go. And if you're not here and you're watching this later, I am a man of my word. I said I'd answer your question, and I did. And I did. All right, next up, we have Mr. Jackie Bear in the house. He says, Ron, Brother Ron, have an excellent stream, sir. I plan to, sir. I'm looking forward to it. Tonight should be a nice night. It's tomorrow's gonna be a long day, regardless of not having the turf party. Tomorrow is the black belt pre-test at our studio, so it's from 11 till 2:30ish, 2:30ish, depending on how things go. It's gonna be quite the workout for those candidates. So I'm looking forward to getting through the stream tonight, getting some sleep, and then tomorrow morning having some fun doing a lot of martial arts. So, and being to watch and proctor some really cool martial arts. So should be a good time. All right, next up is Jerry Ward. He says, Ron, I hope you don't have the hurricane mess all over your yard like I do. Leaves, twigs, sticks, and acorns everywhere. Not really. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff here and there, but really that's more from fall. Just the fact that it's starting to cool off, and we're getting some, some of the leaves, some of the trees are beginning to shed, and getting some like dead leaves on the lawn, but nothing that I would attribute to Hurricane Ian. Again, for the most part, it's the way it always works, right? Like if we decided we're gonna have the party tomorrow, like Ian would come straight up Georgia and would ruin it. And now that we've postponed it a week, it's like not gonna be anywhere near us. And if anything, I mean, today it was overcast for a little bit, but the weather was actually fairly nice. So hopefully it stays that way. Yeah, for the most part, no mess in the lawn. I will tell you that it's cooling off quite a bit faster this year in September, October than it did this time last year. So the lawn is already starting to turn. The color is already starting to come out of it. If you guys want to see that, stay tuned tomorrow morning. I'll go out on the lawn, do some YouTube stories, maybe even a live stream. We'll see how that goes. Maybe on Sunday is what I would shoot for. Tomorrow's not going to really work because of all the work at karate. But Sunday, maybe before football, we can do a Sunday morning live stream if you guys want, just to take your questions and have a different change of scenery, and you guys can see what the lawn looks like. And yeah, but yeah, it's interesting this year compared to last year, how much sooner and how much cooler it's gotten, and how the lawn is beginning to lose its color because of that. So good stuff. Thanks for coming in, sir. I really do appreciate you. Next up, we have Denise Drake that says, where are my Fodens at? Fodens, are you talking about, the only Foden I'm aware of is the soccer player, football player. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to, but outside of that, I don't really, I don't know of the Fodens, but yeah. All right. So we got a super chat here in the house. Your nightmare is starting it off. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, sir.
Super chat received.
He says, have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much, Your Nightmare. Really do appreciate it. And guys, LG will be happy. I'm not sure if he's here yet, but I did fix the Tango Bolero. So now it is back. We've got intermission music as I go back up and find where I left off. And guys, if you're enjoying the live stream, I know we're new. We just got started. We're only a few minutes in. But if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button for me, ever so gently. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a great way to support the channel, and it sends good vibes to the algorithm, brings more people over, so we can all have a great, nice fall chat talking about lawn care. I would really, really, really appreciate it. All right, so next up we have Papa Moslow. He says, "Hey everyone, I'm really liking the Sterling and waiting on the 8 to meet some great people." Yeah, man, that's cool. So I'm glad you got your Sterling. Probably got to put it through its paces, get to cut with it. It's a nice machine, man. I got to tell you. I mean, I know there are a few adjustments that Al had to make as far as like putting some bracing in and those kinds of things. But overall, the mower is really solid, and I think a lot of people are going to like it. You know, it's going to be interesting if anyone's able to come in and be able to compete with that mower, given everything that it does, because it cuts great. The interchangeable cartridge system is really solid. It's a really great system. The time that I had with it when I was using it on the back lawn, when Roland brought a demo example by, I really liked it. I thought it was a really good system. So I'm glad that you're liking it, Papa Moslow, and hope to see you on next Saturday. So hopefully, everything works out. I'll get to see all you guys, and should be a fun time. Great stuff. All right, next up is Jerry Ward. He says, "Hoping to get my yard plugged next week. It's been so dry." Yeah, so I'm not sure where in the country you are, Jerry, but if you're around here, that's definitely been a thing, man. I mean, if you were planning to overseed your Bermuda with ryegrass this fall, you're going to be running some irrigation to get that grass to come in. It's just been a lot. September's been an odd month. It's been cooler than expected, and we haven't had nearly the amount of rain that we normally would expect to get. But then again, compare that to August. August was a really wet month, and that's typically not the case. So who knows? Who knows what Mother Nature's thinking, right? But I'm sure you'll still be able to get your plugging project done. Just, eventually the rainfall's got to come, right? We'll have to get some here at some point. All right, next up is Denise Drake saying, "I'm just starting out my lawn care journey out here in Northern Carolina." Yeah, so that's cool, Denise Drake. I'm not sure what the state of your lawn currently is, like what challenges you're dealing with, what you're trying to get it to. But there's lots of great resources online. We have a lot of articles on the Golf Course Lawn Store. I'll show you here now. If you just go to the store and then just go to blog, in here there's tons of different articles on the best lawn fertilizers to use this fall, best lawn weed killers for beginners. You've got articles on grub control, on how to choose fertilizer, how to use fungicide. Probably our most popular article is this one, the step-by-step guide on how to get a golf course lawn. So there's tons of reading if that's your jam. If you like infographics, if you just click on shop, this really breaks down what the approach that I like to take when it comes to creating a great lawn, and it applies to pretty much to any lawn, all grass types. This is pretty much what you'd want to do, and to get a lawn that most people would be happy with. And it starts with one, eliminating weeds. In other words, you want to only grow the stuff we want to grow, which are your grass of whatever it happens to be. And then I'm a big fan of soil testing. You may or may, if you've not been watching the live stream for a while, you may have heard, if you've been watching, you've probably heard me mention it at some point. The reason why I'm such a fan of that is because one of the most common questions I get, a week never goes by where I don't get this, is what fertilizer should I be using to my lawn? Should I apply lime to my lawn? Those types of things. And the way to answer that question, and really the only way to accurately answer that question, is by using one of these guys, by using a soil test. They're not that expensive, and it literally gives you the answers to the test to be able to know what kind of a treatment program you should have or develop for your lawn. And it's going to help you get the best results because you're going to be using data to get it versus just guessing as far as what you should apply as far as fertilizers or other types of soil amendments. So I would definitely be a fan of recommending getting a soil test done. We carry them at the Golf Course Lawn Store under the soil test kit section. And then after that, you're going to fertilize your lawn based on your soil test results. So we eliminate the weeds, get rid of the nasty stuff. We figure out, hey, what does our soil lack that's going to make it as good as possible, which makes getting awesome grass a byproduct. And then we're going to apply that suggestion. So fertilizer, any other amendments, anything else that we might need, we're going to do that. And then the thing that most people don't do enough, which is mowing, right? So you're going to mow, and when you think you've mowed enough, mow one more time. Typically, the way to getting a good lawn is going to require that you set aside time to mow, twice per week, at least twice per week. That's what it's going to take. If you're mowing less than that, it's going to be a challenge. So really, twice per week mowing minimum, in my opinion, is what it takes to have a great lawn. So if you can mow once on the weekend, which is time most people can find time, and make time sometime during the week, Wednesday or Thursday, for that midweek mow, that's going to do a lot to put you ahead of the competition in your neighborhood. And your lawn's gonna look really good. And as a byproduct, you're gonna get a lawn that looks pretty awesome. So getting a great looking lawn is a byproduct of all those things. So making sure that you're not having a bunch of plants that are competing with your grass. So weeds, getting a soil test, fertilizing the lawn accordingly, and then doing a lot of mowing to encourage growth in your lawn, which is going to make it look amazing. So hope that helps. Happy to have you as a viewer. And if there's anything else I can help with, definitely let me know. I see you have a follow-up question here where you said we're just getting started and have large clumps of Dallas grass. Is it okay to dig up most of the large clumps? I'm mowing it short. I'm in Northern California. I thought they said Northern California. NorCal. I'm sorry. I should realize I read North Carolina, so I'm sorry, NorCal. Yes. So yeah, as far as digging up the Dallas grass, that's exactly what you should be doing, because there's not really a selective herbicide that I'm aware of anyway that is rated for use on residential turf. There are a couple of options that will kill Dallas grass, but you're not supposed to use them on residential lawns. So what you're left with is exactly what you're suggesting, which is to dig it up, to physically remove it, right? So and the thing is, it might seem like a lot of work, but if you do take a couple of days, a couple of evenings, per week and get out there for 30 minutes, you'll be surprised at how much progress you can make in a relatively short period of time. And yes, that's exactly what I would do. I would get rid of it because the Dallas grass, one, is not going to die off on its own, and it's taking up space that we want our actual grass to occupy, right? So yeah, absolutely get rid of it. And then everything else that I mentioned earlier still applies to you as far as getting a soil test, fertilizing according to that soil test, and then doing lots and lots of mowing. That's what it's going to take to get an amazing lawn. So appreciate having you as a viewer. If I can help with anything else, let me know. All right, Two Trillers in the house. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday, everyone. What's going on, Two Triller? I think hopefully you'll be able to make it on the 8th, because I know, there were some challenges with tomorrow, but, see, things worked out to where you're now back in the game, man. You're back in the running to be able to get out here and hang out on October 8th at the Rio Rollers Turf Park. Should be a good time. All right, next up is Doug 350Z, but not just any 350Z, one that's been twin turboed. He says, hey, Ron, how's it looking down there? It's a monster win up here in the Research Triangle RDU area. It's like normal. It's like there's nothing really going on. We don't, again, literally we are far enough away from the coast that there's hardly anything. I mean, literally there's overcast this morning, and then right before the live stream, it was cloudy sky, but there was more blue in the sky than there was gray. So for all intents and purposes, it looks like we're going to miss most of it. Of course that could change, but we're not going to have any bad weather from it. It doesn't look like. So hopefully things do, you guys get a mild pass of the storm, maybe just get some rainfall from it, but no damage. That would be nice. And with you being, way closer to the coast than I am, then I'm not surprised that you're getting some weather. You're saying nothing like Gilbert in 88. Wow, dude, that goes back. It was a Gilbert in 88 or Hugo in 88? I forget. I thought Hugo was in 1988. But yeah, we had some in the Caribbean. We had Gilbert, we had Hugo. There was George. We had some really nasty ones. I forget which one was the like one of the biggest just from a size standpoint, was one of the largest ones ever recorded. I don't know if it was Gilbert. Might have been Gilbert, but I thought Gilbert was. I may have to look this up. I thought Gilbert was later than 88. I thought Hugo was in 88. Let me see here. You're making me look here. You're making me look. If I'm thinking about the right one, Hurricane Gilbert was you're right, September 88. So when was Hugo? That was my first real hurricane. 89. Okay, so Gilbert was 88 and Hugo was 89. Hugo was one where I really got to experience watching rain like fall sideways, like go literally sideways. It was that was a crazy time. So that was my first real really nasty hurricane that actually hit St. Eustatius. It was not a fun storm. It's funny. While I look for the next question, we actually had license plate. We actually had a license plate from St. Kitts, which is 13 miles or so from Statia, end up on our island. Now, some people say, "Oh, it could have been a license plate that someone just brought over," but it was an active one. So, just shows you how much debris and things can travel. And something as light as a license plate, I'm not surprised. All right, we got a super chat to get to next here. One from Mr. Lance F. Thank you so much, Lance. I appreciate you.
Super chat received.
He says, so no question. Actually, he did say one. He says, hey, Denise and John, welcome to the live with our favorite lawn care guy this Friday. And you know what? I owe your Nightmare a show sponsorship as well. So Nightmare and Lance, you guys are gonna have to share it for a while. So Nightmare and Lance F. So you guys have to be the show sponsors until we get one that tops you guys. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Thank you so much, guys. I'm actually pretty excited about this weekend. Formula One's back again. Football this weekend should be a good time. Should be a good time. I'm 3-0 right now in fantasy football. For a guy that's not really even in the football, I'm doing pretty good. So hope for me, pray for me that I'm still be able to go 4-0 this weekend. We'll see. All right, next up is Papa Moslow. He says, "Are you planning to bring the special edition Sterling to showcase it?" Oh, I don't know, man. I have to get it down off the shelf and then bring it out there. I might. I mean, I haven't. It's the thing is, what you don't realize, there's actually a light that's hanging off of it. So the part of what's kind of a pain is that if I do that, I got to redo it. I got to rig it again after I bring it back. But I did think about doing that. If I do, it'll just be on display. It's obviously we're not running it. We ain't mowing anything with it. But I'll have to bring maybe some carpet, something to set it on, and then bring it out for you guys to take a look at it. I don't know. We might see. We'll have to see. I tell you what, you have to show up next Saturday to see if that happens or not. How's that, Papa Mosel? I'm not going to promise either way, but I will tell you that if you're not there, you won't know for sure. So I did think about that. Like, I figured you guys might want to check it out and see it in person. You want to see a chromed out mower, and it's kind of a unique piece of, literally a one-of-one piece of equipment. All right, your nightmare says, as usual, you are awesome. Thank you for the answers. Here's the death to the weeds. And again, thank you for the super chat, sir. I really appreciate the support. All right, next up is Mr. Dalen Krause from Oklahoma. He says, "Hey, Ron, here in Oklahoma, we could use some of that rain. In my area, we have had half an inch of rain since June 1st. How is that even possible, man? Wow, I wouldn't think Oklahoma would be that dry. His water bills are nuts the past couple of months, still have the dominance in my neighborhood. So despite everything," that's the thing, right? Your lawn may not look the way you may want it to look, but if you are better than everyone else, even though it's not, the green isn't popping, not as lush as you might like, that's still saying something, right? So yeah, that's crazy that only half an inch since June 1st, man. That's insane. Wow. But here's the thing: we haven't gotten any rain from Ian at all either. So I'd like to have some. Not a drop of rain fell today. Got a little overcast this morning, but no rainfall that has happened. Maybe tomorrow. I have to look at the forecast and see, but I don't think. Yeah, it's all 0% chance of rain in the forecast. So probably not going to happen. Next up is Seed Time Harvest Lawn. It says, "Hey Ron, it's cold here in Maryland. I'm not surprised. It's cold in Georgia. I mean, for me, it's cold. Anything under 65 degrees is officially cold to this island, guys. So yeah, it's very nippy here. So I imagine Maryland being quite a bit further north than where I am in Georgia, that you guys are having some cooler weather. It's, again, for me, it seems like it's cooler this time of year than it was last year. Because I remember, I actually know that's the case, because the lawn really didn't even start checking out last year until late November timeframe. It was when we got that for our first real cold snap in November is when the lawn, the color really fell off. Whereas now it's beginning to fall off already. So I remember Robert Rainey was treating, same thing with him. He was having, his lawn was green as well for a lot longer last year into the season, unseasonably so, versus this year. So I guess things are just kind of going back to normal versus last year, which was more of an anomaly, right? All right, Jonathan Dawes is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, what's going on, Jonathan? Thanks for coming to hang out." And he has a question about reseeding his turf type tall fescue in Los Angeles. He says, "I am planning on doing a reseeding this fall for my turf type tall fescue here in Los Angeles. I am going, what do you say here? I'm going to BFF to aerate and add topsoil. Should I seed after aerate, then topsoil and reseed again? Thanks." So I would, if you're going to aerate, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you said, so you're going to aerate and then you're going to add topsoil. I mean, you're splitting here, so it doesn't really matter. You can aerate, seed, and then add soil. What I tend to do, like when I've seeded my lawn in the past, is I've done my aeration, I've done fertilizer, done Essential G, like any of my soil biostimulants. I've top dressed and then put the seed on top of that, and then just rake the lawn in, just rake the seed in after I was done. So, but you're splitting hairs. As long as you're not going super heavy with the topsoil that you're putting down, in other words, it's really light, you should get a good result either way. Now, if you're going to put down more than half an inch of topsoil, which I, again, really wouldn't recommend doing, then in that case, you're going to want to do the seeding afterwards. So you're going to do your aeration, do any kind of fertilizer you wanted to do, any kind of soil amendments you want to do, then do your topsoil and then the seed as a last step, and then just rake it in, because you don't want to go so heavy that you end up burying the seed, that it gets, it's covered in too much dirt. Again, it's you're probably gonna get a good result either way, but most seed requires an 1/8 to 1/4 inch as far as material over it. So you can get that by just laying it down, raking it in, and then if you want, roll over it if you have like a reel mower or some other way of just rolling it or pressing it in to get some seed soil contact, good to go. Then just water it and wait. So yeah, hopefully that works well, sir. And then you're saying, should I aerate topsoil, and then reseed? Yeah, I would do that. That's the order that I would do it. I would aerate, I would do topsoil, and then I would reseed. That's what I would do. But again, you're splitting hairs. You're probably going to be fine either way. Be fine either way. Send pictures once you're done. Want to check it out. So I want to see how it does. All right, next up is Lavendi in northern Florida, and to all the any viewers that are in Florida, Fort Myers absolutely got decimated. I'm sure if you guys have seen the news, it was really bad what Hurricane Ian did to that part of the country. So any of you guys are in Florida, be safe. A lot of people got a lot of damage to their homes. And from what I'm hearing, it's not as bad from a standpoint of, at least from loss of life, as it could be. So there's still some people that died from it, but not nearly as bad as they were expecting, given how much rainfall came in. On another note, Lavendi, I'm gonna answer your question, but one of the warehouses that some of our products ship from is in Florida. It's in the Bradenton area. So what you'll find is some of you guys are having delays as far as like some of your pre-emergent going out and that type of thing. It will ship. All that stuff should ship on Monday. The warehouse was shut down just for safety, so people could go out and take care of their homes, make sure they were going to be in good shape. Warehouse is fine. Products are fine. Everything is still good to go. But as far as things that were products that were ordered this week and that have not gone out yet, we normally like to ship things relatively quickly. But Mother Nature had other ideas, and again, your orders should go out on Monday. In some cases, it's already shipped, but then tracking hasn't updated because the carriers also shut down. They haven't been doing a whole lot in that area either. So again, Monday, things should come back to life. You should start seeing movement, and I really appreciate your patience. So I know it's kind of irritating, but there's unfortunately not a lot I can do about a hurricane. All right, so next up is Lavendi. He says, in North Florida, how long can we continue with the biostimulants, humic, molasses, kelp, etc.? Really, as long as the grass is actively growing, depending on the biostimulant that you're using. You say so humic acid, molasses, and kelp. So the liquids I tend to use until the color goes out of the lawn. So whereas I'm not fertilizing anymore, like I'm done with any kind of heavy fertilization, you can still do like a Nutri-Kelp application if you wanted to. You could do like Release Zero if you want, while the grass is still got some color in it. You could absolutely do those. Essential G, which is a granular biostimulant product, which has compost, coffee grounds, biochar, which is the reason why I do that monthly. That, as long as the ground isn't frozen, I apply monthly. So it'll get it this month, it'll get it November, December, because the ground doesn't really freeze here in Georgia. Literally every month, my lawn will get an application of that. So it really depends on what you're doing. For liquids, I would say once the color goes out of the lawn, you can back off of that. If you're using granular products, it's really down to your budget, right? But there's no reason why you can't do that, even while the lawn is dormant. I'm especially a fan of doing that if it's a biochar product. If the product has biochar in it, because that's something that builds up in the soil and helps with nutrient availability. So that's why I do that every month, regardless of what's going on. So hope that helps, Lavendi. Northern Florida, you're still quite a bit warmer than we are. So I would imagine that you're going to still be able to do most of your program into the end of October. I mean, I'd say this month probably treat it as normal, and then when you get to the end of October, just reevaluate, see how the grass is looking, and adjust based on that. The only thing I would likely suggest is to start tapering off, start lowering the amount of nitrogen you're putting into the lawn. But outside of that, if your program has you using humic acid, molasses, kelp regularly, there's no reason to stop that at this point, especially given that you're that much further south than we are. Great question. All right, next up is TK. TK says, I just overseeded some bare spots and I'm getting an inch of rain in 2 hours tomorrow morning. Oh, for 2 hours tomorrow morning. Okay, wait, 2 hours? It's not tomorrow morning yet, so I don't understand what you're saying. All right, is this enough to cause washout? If so, can I cover with a tarp for a few hours? No, I wouldn't. I don't know how heavy the rain's going to be. but you actually want rainfall. So no, TK, I would not cover the seed with a tarp. That's the opposite. Like you want rain to get on it. You want rain to kind of, work it into the soil. I would not cover it with a tarp at all. Again, 2 hours of rain shouldn't, again, unless you're telling me that hurricane, you can tell me where you are in the country, but unless you're telling me, hey, Hurricane Ian is about to run over my lawn tomorrow morning for 2 hours, which probably is unlikely, but if that were the case, I don't know, I still wouldn't cover it with a tarp because the tarp's not going to stay anyway. And I think the benefits you get from allowing the lawn to get and the seed to get the rainfall greatly outweighs any little bit that you might lose from washout. And again, you didn't say how level or slope the area is, but I really wouldn't worry about it. I would not put a tarp down. No, I wouldn't do that. I would let rain do what it's going to do. And if you go there tomorrow and you look, or after the rainfall passes and you see that, hey, a lot of it's gone, you can always put more seed down. But I wouldn't cover it with a tarp. That's definitely would not do that. All right, next up is Dalen Krause. He says, if anyone wants to know, Tahoma 31 is very drought resistant. I have a small area that I have Tahoma 31 and the rest of the yard is Tifway. It has stayed dark green all summer throughout the drought. Wow, that's good to know. That's good to know. That's good to know. Guys, I'm toying with the idea, and here's the thing. I'm not making any announcement or anything, but I'm toying with the idea of doing a renovation. Now, why? Because the amount of headache that I'm bringing into my life if I do that is, I got to top dress it again after that, obviously, and it's just a ton of work, and I end up messing up the lawn in the process. It's gonna make a big mess of it, and I don't know if the juice would be worth the squeeze. But it'd be fun. Tahoma 31 looks really good. I've thought about Tahoma 31. I've thought about doing maybe zoysia in some spots. I don't know. Just thinking about different ideas. But yeah, it's good to know, Dalen, that it's a lot more drought tolerance, that it is the super Bermuda that everyone says it is, and that it maintains its color well. So yeah, nice to know. Thanks for sharing that, sir. I really do appreciate it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but it would be interesting. It'd be an interesting project, right? Interesting project to take on. All right, next up is No Name. He says, hey, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts, I hope everyone is safe. Yep, we are good here. Hopefully everyone in Florida, especially if you're in the Fort Myers area, like south of Tampa area, that area got hit really, really badly. And, a lot of people lost their homes. If you go on Google and you just search like Fort Myers, Hurricane Ian, it's crazy, man. It's like, it looked like a hurricane went through there. It's really, really bad, unfortunately. So there's a lot of help standing by. So hopefully they'll be able to bounce back relatively quickly. No Name also says, also hit that like button if you haven't already. Yes, guys, please do. We've got 81 people in the live stream right now, only 51 likes. What is up with that? We can certainly do better. Certainly do better than that. So if you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button while I search for the next comment, I would really, really appreciate it. All right, next up is Donald McFarland, checking in from Warner Robins, Georgia. He says, I'm here, no rain. Yep, you're like me, there's no rain at all. We were preparing for this big event and all this rainfall and everything, and nada. That's just the way it works, right? It's just the way it happens to be at times. And like you, I would have liked to have gotten some rain. Especially since we canceled the turf park party tomorrow, right? If we're gonna cancel the party, let's get something out of it. We're getting nothing out of it, other than like a sports weekend and Formula One. That's it. That's all we get. We would have got that anyway. All right. So Jonathan Daza says, for my reseeding project, my soil test shows all nutrients are high. Should I still add NPK certified fertilizer on my reseeding project? Thanks. Not really. Not necessary. If your soil test results, and I think I've seen yours. Maybe it might be thinking of someone else. But if you're the person I'm thinking about whose soil test I got last week, maybe or maybe not, then no, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. What I would do is go ahead and do your reseeding project. Let the grass start growing in, and once the lawn starts, the seed gets established and begins growing. If you want to put down again, I don't know what your soil test results are saying, but if you want to do like a nitrogen potassium, like a light nitrogen potassium application, once the seed is growing in, that I could see, but there's no reason really if everything's high. You really don't have to do anything, so it's really your call, but it's not going to add a whole lot to benefiting germination if your soil test results are already showing good levels. So the only thing I would say is make sure you put enough water on it. Make sure you have enough water so that seed doesn't dry out. You get good germination. But outside of that, just enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that you don't have to do a bunch of stuff to your lawn, right, to get your overseeding project. All right, next up is Mr. Patrick in the great state of Texas, where he says, can't say enough about the Rotary scissors. They have been fun this week. All my edging is looking pretty tight. Yeah, man. So that's cool, Patrick. I really like mine. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm kind of a wimp, man. I don't use mine. Like, if you ever watch like the lawn tools, those guys will use it for edging, like horizontal edging, and they'll turn it sideways and do like their sidewalk and driveway edging with it as well. I don't do that because I haven't priced what a set of blades cost, and just the work of also having to change it out. And so let me know, Patrick, do you use yours for everything now, or do you just use it for edging along fences, along like near mailboxes, that kind of thing? Or you turn that bad boy sideways as well and using it to get a nice edge around patios and that kind of stuff as well too? It does a great job. And it would be a time saver to do that. You don't have to go out and switch attachments, put the stick edger on. But the way I look at it, kind of like in the review video that I did of mine, is the little blade that comes on a stick edger, or that replacement blades are like $3. And I'm pretty sure the rotary scissors are going to cost a lot more than $3 to replace. And the time, that's the big thing, is the time of having to do it. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. But I'm glad you're enjoying it, sir. They are very, very cool. And yeah, keep me posted on how it does. All right, Tavares Allen says, "Is that the new Ultra Apple Watch you're rocking?" It is. It's like the computer. It's a computer on the wrist. Yep, it sure is. The cool things I'm able to see, rainfall is really nice, right? Normally I wear a traditional like mechanical watch, like I like timepieces, but as far as for like this and just for tracking workouts or whenever I go to karate, it's nice to see how much calories I burn, and it actually motivates you to push harder. What's funny is I tracked my calories from doing a karate workout on Saturday morning, and then came home and did a mow. Not even doing like my normal stuff for all like turf work and everything else. And between doing karate in the morning and mowing the lawn, it was like 1,300 calories, which is kind of insane. And you guys, so if you guys want to know why I'm lean, that's why. Because because I definitely don't eat. I don't eat enough, I don't think, to replace all that. Which is why if I do that a couple times a week, is why I'm able to stay relatively lean. But yeah, they're cool. It's cool. It's battery life's really nice. Believe it or not, this is my first Apple Watch. Again, I'm a mechanical watch guy. Like, I like a nice timepiece, and this is the first, as much as even though I work with technology, this is the first I don't know, whatever, computer on a wrist that I've ever owned. And they're cool. They are cool. I mean, they don't replace a real watch, but they are cool. They definitely serve, they have certain roles they serve pretty well. So yes, it is Tavares. Good eye, man. All right, next up is Patrick. He's back. He says, "And the yard has really looked its best right now, following your program to a T this year." Glad to hear that, man. And the thing is, in that program that I'm sure you're doing a lot of is mowing, right? There's a lot of things in there in the Golf Course Lawn Academy, as far as your fertilization program and your biostimulants and using your fungicides and this type of stuff to keep nastiness out of your lawn. But the mowing is really important, and I know you've been keeping up with that. So glad to hear you're getting good results, sir. That's what I like to hear. Keep it going, because next year it'll be even better. Because next year you learned a lot this year. Next year when you start, you'll be even starting from a better spot, and the domination is going to get even better. It's going to be easier for you to pick right back up where you left off. So very, very, very cool stuff. Always like to hear that. Appreciate all the support. All right, so Lance F, thanks for that, Lance F. And he says, "Lance F, thank you for recommending Lon's live stream." So I appreciate that, man. So Lance F, I guess he's a friends with Denise Drake and brought new people in. And that's the thing, guys. Word of mouth really helps. So if you guys have friends and or family that you think could benefit from the show, or just enjoy, hearing about how to get your lawn better, by all means, share it. Word of mouth is always good. Now, some of you guys, I know some of y'all, being the competitive bunch you are, you're like, I'm not sharing this. I don't want them to know. I mean, when people walk by my lawn and ask me how my lawn's green, I just tell them, I don't know. I just fertilize it and water it, man. I don't know. Some reason it's greener. You guys don't want everyone to have your secret weapon, but I mean, they're still not going to be able to outwork you, so you can still send more people this way. Remember, at the end of the day, despite everything, he or she who mows most wins. So as long as you're putting the work in, you're still going to dominate. You can share the love. All right, Dalvin Larry's up next. He says, "Hi, Ron. Following the spoon feeding program, what would you recommend for the final FERT app this weekend using Humic Max? I'm thinking of cutting the rate in half for the final app in North Carolina since the temps are dropping." You could use Humic Max, just to your point, cut the rate in half, go a bit lighter. You could use the stress blend. So a couple of options. I'll show you here. Humic Max is not really an option for most people. We actually found like 10 bags of it that were held in reserve in the warehouse, and a couple of people were able to pick that up. I didn't announce it because with it only being 10 bags, what would happen is a bunch of people would go in and then it would all be gone. And then you guys would be all mad at me saying, oh yeah, I came here and it's all gone. So what the Hades? So people that found it, I told people in the academy about it, obviously. And then anyone that just happened to go across that section of the store and found it also was able to benefit and pick some up. But yeah, let me show you what I would do, Dalvin. So go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop, and then to lawn fertilizer. So once you're there, Humic Max is sold out now, but a good option is something like the Stress Blend. So reason being is this has low nitrogen, which is what we want this time of year. You're not really trying to push a bunch of growth. And it also has potassium, which is really good for overall plant health. So either the Stress Blend, and if it were in stock, it's currently sold out, but the 0048, that's the straight potassium product, either one of these are good options for closing out the season. Either one of those are good. If you have some Humic Max and you're going to cut the rate in half, just go really light, that's not bad either. But if any of you guys are looking for something to do as far as your last fert app of the season, Stress Blend is a good option. Good option. The other thing that I'm going to be doing this time of year, actually on Sunday, and we might talk about that if we have the live stream on Sunday, is around my fungicide applications. So it's the time of year where I like to do my first of 2 fungicide apps, preventative fungicide apps to help keep spring dead spot away. So what I'm going to be using is Headway G. So I'll show you guys that really quick. So you got a couple different options here, but Headway is really what I'm going to be going with. You get 2 different fungicides in this bag. You have propiconazole and azoxystrobin. Really, azoxystrobin is all you need for spring dead spot. But this is what I'm going to be rolling with the beginning of October, which is 2 days from now, and then again in the beginning of November. And that, coupled with a low nitrogen input in the fall, should be enough to help improve on not having spring dead spot in my lawn. This is what I did last year and got a really good result the beginning of this season. So I plan to do that again this fall to keep, again, I just don't want spring dead spot in my lawn. Because if you've ever had it, it really stinks, man, because you don't know it until you're well into April and the rest of the lawn's greening up and you're like, oh yeah, man, domination in full effect, except you've got these like dishes, like, if you're lucky, like an 8-inch circle, but sometimes even bigger, these big patches where there's nothing, there's no grass, there's nothing growing there. And eventually it does fill in, but it lags way behind the rest of the lawn. It looks really unsightly. And a good way to prevent that is to, one, minimize how much nitrogen you're giving the lawn this time of year, and also use a preventative fungicide in the fall. And Headway is a great option. That's what I'm going to be using on my lawn. Good stuff, Dalvin. I guess you must have loaded up on the Humic Max when we had it. The goal is to be able to bring that back next year, guys. We'll see if we're able to get it at a price that actually makes sense, because it's an awesome fert. I really miss it. It's really, really, really good stuff. So that's the plan for next season. We shall see. All right, next up is Dwayne's World. He says, hello, Ron. Happy Friday. Being that you are mainly using your Allet and GM 1600, what do you reserve your True Cut for these days? So I use my True Cut for a couple of things still. There is the swale area between Alex and me. So if you look at, imagine like this is, I don't know, I can show you on camera. Say this is the swale area, right? I don't know, I'm doing a really terrible job of this. And Alex's lawn is this portion here. The area that's closest to Alex, that area is relatively narrow, and it's too narrow. It's too narrow for the Allet and the Green Smasher to fit through there, but the True Cut C25 is perfect. It goes right through that section. So I use it to mow the section, that area between Alex's lawn and mine. And then also, if you guys know, I have a fence in the back now because the neighbors that are immediately behind me put a pool in, so they had to fence their back lawn. That area has the same situation as well. The Allet can't get down in that little area. The Green Smasher also can't get down there, but the True Cut works just fine. So it's mainly used for trim work these days. So I use it for that. Alex will sometimes use it for other things. Sometimes he uses that mower too. But yeah, it's mainly for trim work these days, and also like mowing. There's also a section between my lawn and the neighbor to the right of me. I use it for cutting that section. So it doesn't get as much use, nearly as much as it used to in the past, but I still use it. And I could not cut all areas of the lawn, unfortunately, without it. So I still need it. That's still my baby. Still, you never forget your first love. And yeah, so still, but it stays nice and sharp because it doesn't get a lot of work these days. But yeah, so really, if I were going to get rid of a mower, the True Cut is one that I could not get rid of if I wanted to cut the lawn. As painful as it is to say, the Allet could go or the Green Smasher could go. One of those could go, but the True Cut could not if I wanted to be able to mow everything. So that means just keep everything, keep all three of them, right? That's the plan. So that we have a backup mower. Like right now, the outlet is off getting sharpened. If you guys want to see it get ground, I'll actually show you guys a quick video of that. I did a YouTube short here. If you guys want to see it, what it looks like, just it's literally nothing really fun to watch other than just watching sparks fly. But that's it getting sharpened. It was a couple of days ago, and but while it's down, I've got the Greensmaster to run. So there you go. All right, next up is Greg Lyon. He says, I totally understand why the Real Rollers party was removed, but disappointed that I will be at the Alabama game during that time. Have fun. Wait a minute, you're gonna go watch Alabama play instead of come hang out in like at the turf park? But it's Alabama. They're not even, here's the thing, I mean, Greg, they're not even the national champions right now. They're not even the national champions. They got beat. They're not even, is it really worth making the trip to go to watch them play versus, coming over in Georgia? Because, Georgia, we are the national champs, So if you only come to the state where the winner state, I'm just giving you a hard time, right? Because what's probably going to happen is, I don't know. I mean, we got a good team this year, but Saban is probably going to come back. I don't know. It's tough to know what's going to happen with college football. I'd love to see a rematch. It'd be awesome to see Georgia and Alabama lock horns again. That'd be really cool. We'll see if it happens, though. All right. Next up is Grass Thief. Grass Thief says, hi, ladies and gents. Leveling Tahoma out of dormancy when sand leveling, good idea to throw down a thin layer of compost before adding my sand. Okay, so you're saying you're leveling Tahoma once it comes out of dormancy. I think you're talking about next year. Is it a good idea to throw down a thin layer of compost before adding my sand? Sure. Yep. No problem at all. Yep. There's no issue with that. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of, if you're going to go through all the trouble of top dressing your lawn, if you can, get a blend, get a mixture like what Supersod offers that has the sand and soil and the compost already blended. If you got, again, I think that the discount code still works, so I can get that to you guys if you want. It saves you like $10 on a bag of it. But yeah, I'm a fan of adding organic material as part of your top dressing project, because you're getting both. You're improving the quality of the soil, which is going to ultimately help your grass to look nicer, and you're using the sand to level, which adds structure. So yeah, I'm a big fan of exactly what you're doing, Grass Thief. If you can't get it pre-mixed, then what you're doing is a great plan. And if you guys are interested in getting the Supersod level mixture, which again is a great product, that again, as far as top dressing mixes go, it's the best one I've ever used anyway. You can use this code and it's going to save you a bit of money in the process. If you happen to live in Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, and I think North Carolina too. There you go. So there's the link for that. But yeah, Grass Thief, you got it exactly right. What you're suggesting is how I'd go about doing it. Good stuff. All right. Next up is Saved by Braids. Says, bless love. What's going on, Saved by the Braids? Thanks. I appreciate it. So play on Saved by the Bell, I guess, but Saved by your Braids. All right. Next we have Dwayne's Word. And actually, no, we have Gary, the retired cable guy. It's awesome. Larry, the cable guy. So Gary, the retired cable guy, says, when is the best time to do a soil test here in Northern Kentucky? Yesterday. There's not really a time of year that it's saying that it's good or bad to do one. Here's when I recommend doing it. If you're going to do a soil test, I'm a fan of doing them in the spring and in the fall. So now is a great time to do one, Gary. Reason being is that if your soil needs some kind of a pH adjustment, those tend to take longer to take effect over versus like an NPK, like a nitrogen correction or a phosphorus or potassium correction. So being able to do that now or get that data now is beneficial in the fall, so that you're set up for, one, to help improve things now, but also when in anticipation of springtime to be in a better spot. So yeah, as long as the ground isn't frozen, which is not going to be in Kentucky right now, I would absolutely get one done. Yeah. So the one that I'd recommend, if you're gonna get a soil test, the one that I like is this one, the one from MySoil. Reason being is that these are super easy. They're easy to use, to get your results quickly. The results are easy to understand. And there's a couple different versions if you go to the golf course lawn store. So you're going to go to the store and then click on shop and then soil test kits. The one that I'd recommend is this guy, the starter pack. The reason being is it comes with, you get one test and you also get a a sample tool, which is really good. This makes it really easy for you to collect the samples, the cores that go in the test kit, and then get mailed out. This is again, it's super easy to use. And what you'll find is in all of these, there are, I think there's two videos, at least two videos. There's one that talks about how to use how to do a soil test. So I've got a video showing you how to use it. And then a second one where I break down the results, like how to interpret the results once you do get your soil test results back. And if all that fails, you still have questions, you can always email me. But between these two videos that are in the product descriptions, you should be good to go. And again, you can get that at the golf course lawn store. So hope that helps, sir. I would get one done now. It's literally the best $30 that you will spend on your lawn because it gives you the answers to the test. Great stuff. I appreciate having you as a viewer. All right, next up is Dwayne's World. He's back. He says, "Hey Ron, we're still in the 90s here in upstate South Carolina. Not too much wind though, so that's good. My yard is definitely checked out for the season." This is actually no, this is wait a minute. I read the wrong person. This is Mike Harvey is saying that. So my yard is definitely checked out for the season. So yeah, so it's been funny, Mike. So I saw you said 90 degrees. I'm like, it can't be 90 degrees in South Carolina. I read the wrong comment. But yeah, what you're experiencing is what I'm seeing here too. We haven't had much wind, and you would get more wind than we would get. And the lawn is beginning to fall off. Like I remember this time last year, it was still nice and green. It's falling off a lot faster this year than it did last year. But I mean, I'll take it. It's better to have that than have to deal with a bunch of damage, potential damage than in the lawn, right? All right, so next is Dwayne's World, where he talks about it's still in the 90s in SoCal. He says, it's 90s, Bermuda's loving it, and the lawn is still great. I can tell, Dwayne, I've been watching some of your videos, and, I know you are, your lawn still looks good from what I'm seeing. The color still looks nice with your 17.5 reel mowers, right? And we don't have that here in Georgia. You guys are leading the charge. We're gonna take the baton and pass it on to you. SoCal will have to carry the Bermuda baton or flag until it gets cool enough that your lawn checks out as well too. Good stuff. All right, next up is Greg Lyon. He's back. He says, in the shady areas where I thinned out the trees, I'm seeing lots of rocks in the soil and wondered if I need to add an inch or more of topsoil in that area so the Bermuda will spread easily. You can give that a shot. I mean, again, we're still going to have to see if you thinned out the trees enough for the Bermudas to still even grow there, because shade and Bermuda, mayonnaise and ice cream don't go together. But yeah, I don't see an issue with that. I would absolutely consider putting down a thin layer of soil in that area. It can't hurt anything. Now, when you say you see rocks, I mean, are you talking about like small rocks, or there are big or like large ones? Because if it's a case of large rocks, I mean, it's more work, but I'd almost suggest removing those and then doing the soil afterwards. That way you're giving yourself the best chance for success. You've already eliminated some of the shade, and then the Bermuda is not going to have as much time spreading and rooting into the area if there's not rocks and other like really hard debris that the roots can't really easily punch through. So just something else to consider. I don't know how bad the rocks are, but just something to keep in mind if you are going to go through all the trouble of putting some soil down in the area. So yeah, it's a good idea. And then a follow-up question, he says, when I do the plugging next spring. Thank you. Yeah, so to answer your question, yes, I absolutely would do that. There's really no negative to it other than it's just more work. That's the only downside. And I don't think you're afraid of work because of all the work you've already done to try and get the grass to grow there. Definitely let me know, man. Definitely let us know how it develops. I would also recommend taking pictures, because if you're looking at it every day, you don't really notice the improvements. So take a picture of how it looks now. And then, once we get to like late February, early March, when the lawn starts to wake up a bit, start taking pictures every week and just document how that area begins to fill in, if it does at all. So, because you're only going to get a chance to see it in its bad state now, and then hopefully all your hard work will allow it to fill in. It's going to look awesome, right? Good stuff. All right, next up is Tony Israel. He says, sup folks, just checking in, listening to the conversation. And then Tony Ian. He says, Tony Ian just left Columbia, South Carolina. Thanks for the rain, but it could have done without the wind and destruction. Yeah, man, that's well, I'm glad to hear that it wasn't so bad that you guys, hope you didn't lose power, but you got the rain, and hopefully Columbia is far enough from the coast that I would hope that what you guys got was mild, Tony. So yeah, I would like to have had the rain, and I might have even put up with a little bit of wind to get it, but we got nothing. You know, we took an L as far as rainfall from Hurricane Ian. But glad to hear that you're safe and everything is going well. All right, next up is Liz Lou. She says, "Hey Ron, I haven't gotten my soil test results as yet. Las Vegas post office just sent my test kit out today. Postman went gambling and forgot about the mail." That could be it, because the thing, Liz Lou, the thing to keep in mind is your soil test results are going to come via email. So when you mail it out, let me show you here really quick. It's easy enough. So in your soil test kit, you already know this, but for the other viewers that are here, you're going to have the water, the deionized water with the ion exchange resin. So this is like your synthetic root. Let me go here so you can actually see it like this. That's like the little bulb that behaves as a root. And you also get the self-addressed envelope, the prepaid envelope. This gets mailed out, but you don't get your results in the mail. You get your results via email. They're not going to be, so be sure to check your email, check your junk mail filters, because I've had people that have, email me saying, "Hey man, it's been like 3 weeks and I've sent it out and I haven't gotten results yet." I say, well, that doesn't sound right. Normally it's about a week for you to get them. And when they go check their junk mail, the results were there. Like I said, about a week later. So be sure, Liz Lou, to check your junk mail to make sure that you don't miss that. But yeah, they've got to get it before they can analyze and get you your results, unfortunately. So hopefully by this time next week, you'll have it, fingers crossed. All right, at least it's on its way there. And again, thanks for coming to hang out and give us an update on the progress of your lawn. All right, next up is Shauna W. She says, "Just curious, at what temps does the grass stop growing as much and start to brown out now?" I'm at high 50s here in the AM in East Texas, and about 85 during the day. I feel growth slowed a lot already. Yeah, so it already has. So in the month of September, it started slowing down for me. And then now you got to figure. So right now, this is one thing that the Apple Watch is actually good for. So the high today was 75. The low was 55. And the temperature right now is 68 degrees. So a couple of things with that. One, if you haven't done your pre-emergent as yet, you need to get that done, because we're definitely within the window now for POA to begin germinating. And then as far as the average temps, it's definitely outside of what Bermuda likes. It likes heat and it likes sunlight. We still got plenty of sunlight, but there's not a lot of heat, or not a lot of sustained heat anyways, these days. So like your lawn, Shauna, mine is starting to lose its color. We're not even getting temps in the 80s that much anymore. So it's completely normal. What your experience is completely normal. If we get a hot snap, like if we get a period of a week or so where it warms up and it gets, the average temp gets go higher, you'll find that some of the color will likely come back. But I mean, we're definitely on a downward trend as far as Bermuda being nice and green and being, the dominant grass. This is where the cool season guys get to take over, unfortunately. So there you go. All right, next up is V8 Soar 1991, says, "Keep pH optimal." I agree. That's, you can't say that strongly enough, V8. pH is everything. You think about, people will go out and they'll spend a lot of money on fertilizer and micronutrients and iron supplements and all this kind of stuff to try and get the lawn look as good as possible. And pH really affects the availability of those nutrients. Like if you have, if memory serves me, if your pH is high, so you have a soil that's very alkaline, so like say 7.5 and higher, right? So you're getting trending more alkaline. Like a lot of your micronutrients like iron get locked up. They're not even available for your grass to take advantage of it. So then you're stuck with having to use liquids, having to spray your micronutrients for your grass to be able to take advantage of it. So keeping your pH in that Goldilocks zone, mid-6s, is really a big deal. You're gonna get the most out of your fertilizer that way. You're gonna get the most out of anything that you're applying to the lawn. So it's the one. Yes, out of soil testing, you do learn whether you need nitrogen or potassium or phosphorus. But the first thing that I look for when I look at a soil test results, and frankly, it's the first thing that's listed on my soil, like on the right side of the soil test results, is pH, because it really is that important. It is that important. Everything else matters not as much if your pH is way off track. So you're absolutely right. V8 Soar 1991, pH is the thing you really want to pay attention to in your soil test results. Super, super, super important. All right, Sean W is up next with a question about fertilizer. She says, also, what do you think about the Anderson's PGF Balance, the 1010, right now for the last app of the season? I think I've never used that particular fertilizer, so I can't comment on it. But if your soil test results show that you need phosphorus, then yeah, probably a good option. If you don't need phosphorus, then no, I wouldn't use it. But if your soil needs phosphorus and you've already got that on hand, then sure, by all means go for it. Again, I've never used it to tell you how well it works, but Anderson's tend to make pretty good products, so I would imagine it's going to be just fine. So let me know if you need anything else, Shauna, and yeah, let me know how it works. If you decide to go forward with that, let us know what kind of results you get, if any. Here's the thing I would say though: do not go out and over apply nitrogen this time of year. Don't really. If the lawn is starting to go dormant, let it go dormant. If you start trying to push a bunch of extra nitrogen or doing things to try and prolong the green, you're still on borrowed time. It likely is not going to work, and all you're doing is increasing the likelihood that you're going to create problems for yourself next spring. So if you want to do a light application to close out the season, I'm for that, but don't get out there and put a really heavy application of fert trying to push growth to try and keep the lawn green for that much longer. I mean, Bermuda's supposed to go dormant when it gets cool. It's getting cool, so the grass is doing what it's supposed to. There's something to keep in mind. All right, next up is Dwayne's World. He says, hey, Ron, just curious if you know if Yard Mastery has any plans to create a greens grade fertilizer with a smaller prill size. I have not heard of anything of the sort. If they have any plans to do that, I don't know. The problem with doing that is that it's expensive. Like, making a smaller prill fertilizer costs more. So unless you're mowing really tight, so you're mowing, under half an inch, and you just really, really want a very fine prill where you really benefit from that, the juice just isn't really worth the squeeze for most people. You know what I mean? So if all you're doing is a fertilizer targeted for people like us that do a lot of real mowing, then yeah, it makes sense. But you got to realize that Yard Mastery sells to people that probably the majority of them rotary mow their lawns, and a lot of them have cool season grass. They don't real mow at all. Real mowing, like we're very much like a niche group. So I don't know that we're really their target demographic as far as what they choose for fertilizers. And on the Golf Course Lawn Store, that's why I went and really sourced and really was able to get Humic Max, because that's an awesome option for people that are real mowing their lawns where your turf is tight, and then you can really benefit from that smaller prill. But I don't know if for Yard Mastery it really makes sense to them to pursue that. So answer to the question is I don't know. And I wouldn't think that they have any plans to, because I don't know that they would think it's worth it, because it's going to cost more. It's going to be more expensive. Like you look at Humic Max towards the end of when we were beginning to wind it down. I think it's still priced at like $75 a bag. It's like $74.99 a bag. Like most of that is shipping, but also the cost of the fertilizer is just a lot more. It costs more than a larger prill fert. So it's the people that want it and know what they want will pay that for it. But the average person that doesn't really care, they say, oh, I need a 1608. If they have a choice between getting a 1608 that's an SGN 150, which like Humic Max is, or a 1608 with an SGN 200 or 210, that's $10 cheaper, then they'll go for the cheaper one, because for them it doesn't really matter to them. So. All right, next up is Shauna W, where she says, one last question. Here's the thing. I doubt it's the last question, but we're going to remember this, Shauna. And if you ask another question, we're going to say this question was not your last question, even though you told us it was going to be your last question. He says, do you do a preventative fungicide monthly during the growing season? I do not. Had GLS and Dollar Spot this year, and I'd rather prevent than cure. How often do you do fungicide? Thank you. Great question. So to answer your question, no, I don't do fungicide every single month. As far as my fungicide program, I tend to do applications twice in the year, or two different times of the year is more accurate. I like to do it in April-May timeframe, and then again in this timeframe, so October-November. Now, really, per the label and per what Syngenta recommends, is that if you're doing your spring fungicide app, you're going to want to do that really more in May-June. But because I've had issues in the past with large patch in April, I bump mine back. I move mine back 1 month and do it a month early. So I do an application in April, and I do another one in May, and then I do anything else as far as fungicide until this time of year, where I do an application at the beginning of October and then one at the beginning of November. So the spring application is really to prevent summer patch, large patch, a lot of the common diseases that tend to be a problem in summer months. With Dollar Spot in Bermuda typically is not really a problem if you are feeding the Bermuda lawn a healthy diet of nitrogen. So when I say healthy diet, like, around a pound of nitrogen, 0.8 to a pound of nitrogen per month. If it's getting that during the growing season, you tend to not have issues with dollar spot. But the other lawn diseases, large patch, summer patch, those definitely can become a problem. And that is what the spring application of Headway in my case, April, May, but for most people, May, June timeframe helps prevent. And then the application that I'm doing now in the beginning of October and then again in November is all about preventing spring dead spot. Because if you've ever had it, it really stinks. It's really unsightly. It takes a while to recover, and there's literally not much you can do about it once it shows up. Like the problem is this, right? Let's say you're somebody that goes out there and starts spraying your lawn in this fall. You're saying, hey, I want to keep my lawn green as long as I possibly can. I'm going to fertilize really heavily in the fall. Bermuda, you want to go dormant, but you're not going dormant. I'm going to force you to grow. And it works a little bit, and maybe it may help prolong it, a week or two. But then what's going to happen is the lawn eventually is going to go dormant, and then when springtime rolls around, your lawn's going to begin greening up, and you'll see little, saucer-shaped portions of your lawn where the grass just isn't coming out of dormancy. It's just going to be just bare, just dead, or it's going to appear to be dead, and that is spring dead spot. And the bad part about that particular lawn disease is that by the time you see it, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So the time to prevent that is now, and the way you prevent it is to, 1, limit the amount of nitrogen you put into the lawn during the fall, and then 2, use a preventative fungicide. So again, Headway is what I'm going to be using. If you have something else you like to use, that's fine too, but I've gotten good results with that, and I do 2 of them. I do one again this month, and again another one at the beginning of November, and that's what I do as far as my fungicide program for what I do. So hope that helps. And that's also what I teach in the Golf Course Lawn Academy. So hope that helps, Shauna. If you have any other questions, definitely let me know. Again, dollar spot should not really be a huge problem in your lawn if you are feeding it. Again, if it's getting enough nitrogen. When I say a healthy diet, I mean adequate, not like you're putting more nitrogen into it or extra. Just giving it around a pound, just 0.8 to a pound while it's actively growing. You tend to not have problems with dollar spot in your lawn. All right, next up is Mr. Darren Proctor saying, good afternoon, everyone. Darren from Maryland. You know what? I got to get that. I don't have, so Darren sent me something, man. He sent me a lemon chicken rub. I don't have it. So I can get someone to bring it to me here really quick. But it was really cool. Darren sent me a gift, and I want to show it to you guys. I had it in my mind to do that, and I left it in the kitchen in the cabinet instead of bringing it here. So, but yeah, anyway, Darren is saying, good afternoon, everyone. Darren from Maryland. Should I let the wiregrass grow between my new zoysia plugs or take them out by hand? If you want to pull them by hand, I don't see any reason to not do that. I mean, yeah, I can't. In other words, I'm trying to think of a reason why I would let an undesirable grass or weed grow when I'm doing a new sodding project, and I can't really think of why I would ever want to do that. Now, if you told me should I go out and spray herbicide on brand new sod, like that's on brand new plugs, then that I'd say no, that's probably a bad idea. But as far as just manually removing it, then I don't see any negative to doing that. And if I can get that, Darren, I'll show off the nice gift you sent to me, because it was really, really cool, really, really thoughtful of you. So I really appreciate that. Hope that helps, sir. If you need anything else, definitely let me know. All right, next up is Jim Carson. Jim says, I did the spoon feeding program and it helped my lawn. Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that. Just sending someone a message here. Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that, Jim. The spoon feeding really is an awesome way to feed your lawn, both from a fertilizer standpoint and also from when it comes to like Primo Max, like growth regulator. The only negative, the only downside is that it just takes time. It takes more time to do a spoon feeding program because you have to get out there, twice a month, beginning of the month, and again at the middle of the month than if you just do a single application once. But I think the results are worth the extra effort. You don't get a bunch of excessive growth. The color is better. There's just tons of benefits to it. The only downside, like I said, is that you've got to get out there twice and in the lawn versus just one time. And if that's not that big a deal to you, then yeah, I think it's totally worth it. I've got a couple of different videos on a spoon feeding program that are on the YouTube channel. In the academy, we have a calendar that details what I would recommend, and there you go. Yeah, so this is actually, I'm gonna go back to Darren really quick. This is what he sent me. So it's called Shaking the Tree Gourmet Lemon Pepper, And it's good stuff, man. I mean, not sponsored or anything like that, but this is a really good, really good flavor. And he told me that you don't need a little bit of this stuff, and it's good. It's pretty tasty. I gotta it's a good product. And again, appreciate it. Thank you so much for sending out the seasoning. So if you guys ever want to send me anything, the address is on the golf course lawn store. So the address is at the bottom of the page. That if you send anything there, I will get it. So unsolicited viewer sent me this, and I really appreciate it. So I like a good seasoning. I like spicy food. I like a good flavor. So thanks for the seasoning. I appreciate that. Good stuff. All right, next up is Dwayne's World. He says, "Hey Ron, curious, will propiconazole alone not be a good option for a fall preventative fungicide? If not, should it only be used to cure fungus and not prevent it?" No. So really, if you're going to just do one of them, azoxystrobin is likely the one that I would lean more towards. Like if you don't want to do headway, then azoxystrobin is what I would lean to. So as far as Syngenta's product, there's a fungicide called, I think their brand name is called Heritage. I don't carry it because I don't really see the point, because if you can get azoxystrobin and propiconazole in one product for a couple of dollars more, why not just do that? Because the price difference between the two of them is not so extreme that it's not worth doing that. Propiconazole is a great fungicide, and as far as treating dollar spot, that is what you would have to use. And but for the purposes of preventing spring dead spot, azoxystrobin will work just fine. So yeah, I just use headway. That's what I like to use. But if you have some azoxystrobin, you can go with that as well, Dwayne. So good stuff. All right, next up is Thurston R. He says, "Hey Ron, regarding your comment to apply headway G, does that apply to cool season grass as well?" Yes. I have a bag, but was saving it for the spring. Also, is milky spore a good option for controlling grubs? Yeah, so as far as it being for cool season grass, yes, that still applies to cool season grass as well. And milky spore is, if the reviews of it that it's a good product, you're taking me way back, man, because it's been probably 5 years or so. I have actually the video on milky spore, probably over 5 years ago at this point. And the thing with it is that it has to build up. So you can't, it's not like using a celloprine where if you have like an active grub infestation, that this will kill them. Like this will actually get rid of them. Milky spore, you have to use it for a couple of seasons, and it will really work to help keep grubs away. But as far as the effectiveness, it's not as good as a dedicated insecticide. Like if I had a choice between using milky spore or using a celloprine, especially when you consider that a celloprine, as far as insecticides go, it's relatively mild. Like it kills the stuff that you want out of your soil, like a lot of the lawn damaging insects, grubs, any kind of turf caterpillars, armyworms, like anything like that. It's really good at taking care of those. But as far as not hurting pollinators, bees, and the insects, or the invertebrates that we want to keep, but like earthworms, then it doesn't harm those. So I like a celloprine. I'm a big fan of that. Milky spore can work as well too, but it's not, if you decide to go with that, know that you're going to do it. It's going to take a couple of seasons. It's not like an immediate thing like a dedicated insecticide like a celloprine would be. So I think there's people that swear by it. If you look at the reviews on it are pretty good, but it's not like a celloprine. It's not like a dedicated insecticide. But give it a shot. It can't hurt. Can't hurt to start doing that. If you want to integrate it into your program. All right. Next up is Andrew. Andrew says, "How is it down there at Ron Henry?" It's fine, dude. Like we didn't get anything. I mean, we were all planning on I'm sure if I went to Publix, I didn't go to Publix today, but I'm sure we went to the supermarket. Probably all the bread was gone. All the eggs are probably gone. The milk's gone. You know how it is in Georgia. We get any kind of chance of any kind of inclement weather, and everything gets bought and sold out. But it was kind of a big non-event, a non-starter. Like literally this morning it was overcast, and then by the afternoon there was more blue sky showing than clouds. So I think we dodged a bullet. But again, if we had Real Rollers decided to go forward with the party tomorrow, Andrew, Ian would have come right up the coast and done all kinds of damage. So thankfully, nothing at all. Unfortunately, no rain or anything, not good or bad. All right, next is Greg Lyon. Oh boy, I see I'm gonna get in trouble. Here we go. Here we go. He says, "My wife and daughter overheard you about Alabama and took offense to your comments, but they agreed on your comments about a rematch." Here's the thing. You know what though? I'm gonna say it. I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. Alabama fans, you guys do not know what it means to let someone else have a moment in the spotlight. Like, you guys want to win every single year. I mean, I think if you take the last 10 years of national championships, I mean, I'm sure someone that knows their trivia knows better than me. Alabama, if they've not been in the national championships, they've won it probably more than anyone else in the last 10 years. I've gotten closer, certainly, than anyone else in the last 10 years. So Georgia, it's been, when was the last time? Like in the 80s or something? Let us enjoy it. You guys are probably going to win this year. I mean, you guys have to be all sour grapes and everything, but you know what though? If we, I'm going to screenshot this, because if we win again, this comment's going to come back. You better believe it. It's going to come back. Greg and better half and daughter. If we win this year, which, I mean, let's just be real, it's probably not going to happen. But if we win this year, this comment's going to come right back up and be like, see, we ran it back. And it's because you guys sent like bad juju out into the ether talking bad about the Georgia Bulldogs. So there you go. And anything, I hope it's a rematch. It'd be nice to see us go at it again. It was a good game, and it'd be fun to see it again. You know, see if Kirby can beat his old coach. He already did it, but see if he can actually, again, repeat it. Be kind of cool. All right, next up is Donnell Burrell. He says, "What's up, Ron? Golf Course Lawn Academy in the house." That's right, Donnell. He says, "Can you give us degree belts so that we can make it to black belt status?" By the way, Can I change my common Bermuda to Arden 15 from seed, or just rip it up and start over? I would do the latter. I would rip it up and start over. I would not try and, if your goal is to have all of one grass, your best bet is to get rid of what you currently have and then install that particular grass. That's what I would do. I mean, the whole idea of saying, I'm gonna overseed with Arden 15, or I'll put Arden 15 in and it's gonna take over is, I mean, could it happen after many years? Possibly, but then there inevitably is gonna be a section of your lawn where it's not gonna take, and the old grass is just gonna stick around and it's not gonna look even. So for the fastest result, I would say just bite the bullet, do a renovation, and then install the grass type that you want, whether it be by sod or by seed. For example, if I were to do Tahoma 31, which you have to, because I believe you can only get that in sod, I would have to do a full renovation. So I would break out my Fusillade and glyphosate combination, and blast the entire lawn with that, which should knock back the Bermuda, get rid of it, and then bring in the new sod, bring in the new stuff, right? So yeah, that's what I would do, Donnell. And as far as degrees of black belts, for the academy, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing, man. A lot of you guys are like winning lawn of the month. You get people that are coming by and asking you for tips. I think once you get that, you're at black belt status, right? I mean, once you're at the point where you're now the authority on your street, maybe even in your neighborhood, I think you've arrived. There's nothing that I'm going to be able to impart on you that's going to be more than that, right? But we'll think about it. But I don't know that it would really mean anything unless your lawn is matching the part. As long as if it looks the part, then you're going to get all the recognition that you're going to want anyway. But yeah, do the renovation. Don't throw Arden 15 on top of your common. I think you will like the results better if you go through the trouble of doing a renovation. It'll be a lot more painful and ugly for a while, but the net result, once it all grows in, is going to be better. And you're probably not going to be able to use Arden 15 unless you've got some of it laying around, because that grass seed has been discontinued, to my knowledge. I don't believe that they're bringing it back, and I have not yet heard what Pennington is going to replace it with. So just stand by. They might come up with something that's even cooler than Arden 15. We'll have to see, right? All right, next up is Tom V. He says, "Hey Ron, I've wanted to ask about how much watering in of Turfplex and T-Nex need. Lately, I've been applying both during spoon feeding, and it typically does not rain for a week or two after application. Water? No, you don't have to water them. Neither Primo or Turfplex require watering in. So I'm not sure what rate you're applying them at, Tom, but when I was using Turfplex, I would mix it at 6 ounces per gallon to cover 1,000 square feet, and mix that with Primo, whatever rate you happen to use depending on your grass type, and that works great. Neither of them require watering in to work. Just apply them at a reasonable rate and just let them sit. There's no need to water. And he said, What if I don't water? Will that hurt the lawn? No, it will not. I have never watered my growth regulator in ever, not once. And same thing for Turflex. I never water that in either. So I tend to look for dry, stretch of dry weather before I apply it. You know what I mean? So no, there's no reason to run irrigation specifically for Turfplex and Primo. Like, you don't want to do that at all. You want to apply them, give them a few hours, let them dry on the leaf, and then if the following day is your day to run irrigation, then yes, then you can go ahead and do that. But I would not. Turfplex and Primo do not require watering in order to work. As a matter of fact, it's a negative to do that. So don't water them in right after application. Apply it, let it dry on the leaf, and then 4 hours later, if you're going to have rain in the forecast, fine. If the next day it's your day to run irrigation, also fine. But they don't need watering in order to work. Burning through these questions quickly tonight, guys. May have a short night tonight. We'll see. They might be short. All right, next up is Grass Thief. Thumbs up. You're very welcome, Grass Thief. Thanks for coming in and asking the question. Jim Carson is up next. He says, I have had issues with weeds, cool season. You have cool season grass. Thinking about skipping the reseed. Question: what pre-emergent should I use on fescue? So you got a couple different options, Jim. I would say just go with prodiamine. So I'll show you really quick here. Go to the golf course lawn store. Once you're there, you can go to the weed killer section. So go here, and then you can either scroll down and find the nasty picture of weeds and click on that, or go to the menu, whichever way works better for you. And then as far as pre-emergent, I would go with prodiamine. That's a good option, easy to apply, not that expensive. This in a granular is not bad. You could also do the liquid. You can get the 5-pound jug. Or if you have a smaller lawn, you can get the smaller one here, which is the 5 ounce of it. You know what I mean? You can go with this guy. So if you have a smaller lawn, I don't off the top of my head remember how much what size lawn this will treat. But for Bermuda lawn, this 5 ounces will do 6,000 square feet, and our application rates for Bermuda are quite a bit higher than they are for cool season grass. So it's easily double. So I would say that you can easily cover 10,000 square feet, probably more, with this one little 5 ounce container. So if you want to do liquids, that's an option. If you want easy mode, then just pick up a bag of the prodiamine and just go with that. So if you're going to skip, if you've already decided that you are not going to overseed your lawn this fall, then yeah, absolutely get pre-emergent down. I absolutely would, because otherwise, you're making life easier for the weeds, which means more expensive options later as far as post-emergent herbicides to clean it up, right? So if you've already decided, hey, I'm not going to be overseeding my lawn this fall, go ahead and get your pre-emergent down. Even if it's a little bit late, it's still better than not doing it at all. Next is Rio the Hitman. The Hitman sounds kind of dangerous. He says, Ron, I need help deciding on a reel mower. All right, this is a good question. It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be one that I'll be able to get into quite a bit. So he says, Rio the Hitman, Ron, I need help deciding on a reel mower. I can either get a used True Cut C27 reel mower for $800, or a Toro 2100 walk-behind green mower for $1K, but the issue is I need to also buy the higher height of cut kit. Well, it really depends on you, Rio. I'm not sure how much. The 2100 is not one that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with the 1600 and the 800, but it really depends on what your goal is. You didn't tell me what kind of grass you have, but I'll tell you between those two, right? The True Cut C27 is an excellent mower. As far as mowers in that price range, I put it in there with the McLean, the Trimmer, and obviously the True Cut. Like, those are one category, and greens mower are another category higher, or category above that. So if you are, if you want the best possible cut, then by all means, definitely the greens mower. It's gonna cut better. It's gonna stripe better. It's just in every way, from a standpoint of cut quality, it's going to be unmatched compared to the True Cut. Now, what do you give up with that? As far as the maintenance on the greens mower is going to be a lot more expensive. Repairs and parts are going to be more expensive. As far as moving it around, there's a bit more involved in that, because you didn't say whether the greens mower that you found comes with the drive wheels, the transport wheels. If it doesn't have that, it's kind of a pain to move it around. You're running the drum over concrete, and if you have any kind of curbs or sidewalks or things around like that to get around, that's a consideration. The greens mower does not work on a slope as well as the True Cut. It can work on a slope just fine, but as far as like if you have a highly sloped lawn, the True Cut is going to do a better job or be easier to use. I'd say it's probably a better, more accurate way of saying it's going to be easier to use than the greens mower. So really, it comes down to your lawn, how much you mind spending on maintenance every year, and then how picky you're about the quality of cut. I will tell you that the greens mower is another level. It's a tier, easily another tier up, a step up over the quality of cut you're going to get on the True Cut as far as stripe action and everything else, and just the quality of cut in general. So it's really your call. If it were me, if I had a flat lawn, a relatively flat lawn, I would lean more towards the greens mower. If that's what I would do. If I had areas where I had to maneuver around obstacles, or I had a bit of a slope to contend with, that is where the True Cut, in my opinion, with a grooved roller, like fit your True Cut with a grooved roller, is a more attractive option. So you're not going to go wrong either way. It's going to be a better cut with the greens mower. But again, either one is going to produce a great job, a great result. Assuming you've got it set up properly, it's nice and sharp. Either one of them is going to work really well. So hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, definitely let me know. I think that pretty much covers it. I don't think there's anything else that you need to consider outside of that, man. I think that's that's it. I mean, you're asking, should I get something good or should I get something like even a little bit better? But I mean, they're both going to be excellent. They're still going to be way better than what you have now. Now, the thing you're saying about having to buy the higher height of cut kit, how tall or how high are you trying to mow? Because again, the 21, you know what? I don't know the range on the 2100. Let's look that up really quick. Let's see. Toro Greensmaster 2100 cutting range. I don't know HOC range. I don't know what the how to cut range is on that guy. So it's 0.8 millimeters to 15.7 millimeters. So if we go millimeters to inches, I need my calculator. So 15.7 to inches. Yeah. So at the highest height of cut, raised all the way up, you're at about 5/8 thereabouts, right? So you're 0.62 inches, which is not a bad height. I mean, that's a bit more work than 3/4 of an inch, but that's not bad. Like, that's doable. That's in the range of what I would consider to be sane and reasonable for a height of cut to live with every day. So you might be able to get the 2100, raise it all the way up, and see if you like how it does, and then before even investing in the height of cut kit or the higher cutting kit. So it's totally your call. If it were me, I'd lean more towards the greens mower, especially if your lawn is relatively flat. So I hope that helps. Golf Castle is up next. It says, in South Carolina, big washout on my newly seeded lawn. Seedbed was prepared extremely well, rolled, tilled, so the soil 46 inches deep. Am I to assume that the rain simply pushed the seed down into the freshly tilled soil? That's what I would think happened, Golf Castle. I mean, unless you had like a river across your lawn for an hour, then it's more than likely that the seed that was at the surface just simply got pushed down into the soil. That's what I would lean towards happen instead of it being washed out. Now, if it washed out, you would know, because it's not like it's just going to selectively only wash the seed out. You're going to see a lot of your dirt, your topsoil wash out into the street, onto the driveway, all this kind of stuff. If you don't see that, then what you're thinking happened is likely what did happen, as far as it just being pushed down into the soil as from the rainfall. And a little bit more context here, he says, I'm doing a Fescue Pro Blend, not seeing evidence of seed washout. My lawn is fairly flat, and the seed is in the not washed areas isn't visible now. Yeah, so it's just the rainfall just helped do exactly what it's designed to do, which is push it down into the soil to help improve that seed soil contact. You're in excellent shape, is what I would say. I wouldn't worry about it at all. I think you're in good shape. And again, fescue doesn't take that long to germinate, so you'll know here within a week or so, right? But yeah, you're just fine. You should be just fine. Yeah, and I figured that's what you meant, Rio, as far as the height of the higher cut kit. That's what you, I figured that's what you meant. But again, I don't, try it first without it if you decide to go that route. Another thing you didn't mention too, another consideration, are they both sharp? Because if you got to go out and you got to put a sharpen on them, then that's a consideration too. Like if the Greensboro already comes sharp, that's worth something. If you got to sharpen it, figure, it could be, depending on who you get do it, could be $100 to $200, depending on where you go and what else the mower happens to need. So something else to consider as well too. Also make sure that what you're getting, know what kind of maintenance you're going to need or freshening up you're going to need to do to it in order to have it, in good status from a cutting perspective. So one other thing I didn't mention, but something else for you to consider as well. Daryl is in the house, Fairway Bermuda Lawn in the house. He says, hey Ron, I got my Headway G in today. Nice, I dig it. I'll be putting it down this weekend. I'm planning to come out to Real Rollers still. Nice. So I'm sorry, Daryl, that we're not going to have it tomorrow, but we're going to have it on the 8th. So hopefully still get to see you out there. And yeah, man, you're doing it exactly right. You got your Headway in. You can get that down this weekend. Sounds good. You and I are going to be doing the exact same thing. Sunday, that is the plan, to get my fall fungicide application done. And yeah, after that, watch some football, and hopefully I can go 4-0 in fantasy football. I got a pretty good team, guys. I got Allen, I got Mahomes, I got here's I'm not really big on my football names, but you guys know I got those two good quarterbacks. I got Swift, although he's hurt. I got I'm not doing bad. I'm learning a lot about this football thing. It's fun. The cool thing about it is there's a lot of theory crafting in it. So the analytical side of me actually, like, I enjoy that part of it. Like who actually wins, and I don't really care about the teams as much. But that part of it is actually more fun than actually watching football. It's a whole lot more fun than being a Falcons fan. I got to tell you, like that's an exercise in pain. Like you guys, in Alabama, you guys know what it's like to win all the time. Like you guys not winning is like an anomaly. Like you could tell, like when you guys didn't win last year against Georgia, it was kind of like, how does this, we don't even know what to do. This is not normally a thing for us. I'm sure I saw you guys like flipping through your playbook of, in small and fine print, when Alabama loses, because it's just not really a thing that really happens. As Falcons fans, being in Atlanta, it's like a, it's funny. I made a joke with someone the other day when he says, "Hey, we're talking about a contract. He says, we're really close on this agreement, really close to getting this agreement executed." I said, "Are we close? Like, are we like two atoms close, or are we talking like Atlanta Falcons winning the Super Bowl close? Because you can really close, and at the last minute, it can all fall apart." So I'm gonna catch grief for that, but I'm not wrong. Not wrong. All right, next up is Allison J. He says, "Hey, I dug up the Dallas grass in my backyard, and it left patches. What do I use in the patches to make the grass grow back? I have Bermuda in northern Texas." So you have a couple of options, Allison. The one that I would recommend that's going to ensure that it matches is to get a tool called a Pro Plugger. Just go to Google and just search like Pro Plugger. I'm not sure if they sell them on Amazon, but just go to Amazon or go to, I can check real quick for you. And just search for a Pro Plugger. That's going to allow you to pull up little cores of your existing grass, and then you can transplant one or two of them to this area that no longer has grass as a result of you removing the Dallas grass. They do. Of course, they sell them on Amazon. They sell everything on Amazon. And you can actually have it in they have one-day delivery. Wow. Imagine that. That's kind of cool. That's cool. So this is the tool I'm talking about, Allison. I will send it to you. So at Alton J Pro Plugger. There we go. This is the tool I'm talking about. You would use that on the parts of your lawn that are very strong, like where the grass looked great, it's already doing really well, where taking out a small little, 2-inch, 2.5-inch plug is not really going to hurt things. You'll pull a few cores, drop those cores in the areas where you have the patches as a result of the Dallas grass removal. The plugs that you remove from the Dallas grass area, like it's just going to be just bare dirt for the most part, you can then you know what? I don't know if I would do that. Let's not do that. So I would transport the plugs from the healthy parts of the lawn to where the Dallas grass used to be. The holes that you have, I would just get some topsoil, some fill dirt, and just fill those in. Because in the event that you still have some lingering Dallas grass there, the last thing we want to do is spread it around, right? So as I was saying that, I was thinking through that. I was saying, you know what? If he didn't really get all the Dallas grass, the last thing we want to do is start transporting it to other parts of the lawn. So get a plugger. Pull plugs from the parts of your lawn that are strong, and those holes that are left in the parts of your lawn that's doing well that didn't have the Dallas grass, just get some fill dirt and just fill in those little empty areas versus taking the soil from where the Dallas grass used to be and putting it in there. It should be fine. But again, in the event that the Dallas grass is not completely gone, you don't want to be transporting it to an area of the lawn where it was not before. So for that reason, I'm gonna say don't do that. So hope that helps, sir. This time of year is not really the best time to do it, but if you wanna give it a shot, you can. Really, a better time to plug your lawn would be in the springtime, as we're moving into a warming trend. But given that you're transporting, grass that's already been growing fine, that already has a bit of a root system, you're likely to be okay. But still, doing it in the spring, if you can wait, would be better. But again, worst case, if you do it now and it dies, you can always do it again in the spring. So it's not like you're not really hurting anything by giving it a shot now. All right, next up is Mr. Lance F. Lance F is in the house. He says, Hey Ron, happy Friday. I have tried several times to reseed bare spots in my Kentucky bluegrass. However, every time I seed, I see ants in the bare spots taking the seeds. The grass never seems to grow in. What can I do? I guess you could kill the ants. You could use some kind of insecticide that targets the ants and gets rid of them. We could do that. I've not experienced that. I've not experienced an issue with ants coming in and taking seed away when I put it down, which is a new one. I'm sure it's not uncommon, but it's just not one that I've actually dealt with. So I would say is, what you're doing as far as putting the seed down to try and fill in the bare spots, that's a good plan. But let's look into an insecticide that will target the ants. You could use something like, depending on the kind of ants they are. If they're fire ants, you could use Advion, but I don't know if that works. It works against fire ants, it works against pharaoh ants, but it doesn't kill all types of ants. So I'm not sure if bifenthrin will work for that. I'm not sure on how bifenthrin does against ants. But yeah, I would continue doing your seeding work, and I would just figure out a way to get rid of the ants. I don't know if the Miramichi Green Pest Control targets. It does target ants. Yeah, it does. I thought ants were, no fleas were on there. So if you want a non-toxic option for killing the ants, you could go with this, the Miramichi Green Pest Control. This is non-toxic. It does, I'll tell you, it does mosquitoes, ants, no-see-ums, roaches. No one likes roaches. Ticks, aphids, whiteflies, fleas, and chinch bugs. But ants are on here. And the nice thing about this, because due to the way it works, they can't form a resistance to it. So this is an option if you want something that is non-toxic. We do carry it on the golf course lawn store, and 1 gallon of this stuff is going to last you a long time. And it's actually like I can smell a little bit through here. It smells like, if you ever smell like lemon pledge, it smells like that. So it smells really nice. It's not toxic. You can literally spray the areas you're talking about with it. You can spray your patio furniture, the patio. And as soon as it dries, people can re-enter the area. So as soon as it's not like the film isn't there anymore, you can walk right back into it. So completely non-toxic. It's a great product. Give that a shot if you want like a more non-toxic approach to getting rid of the ants. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would get rid of those guys and keep, put my seed down again. Next up is Isaac Momperouse, where he says, checking in, smash the like button. I appreciate that, Alex. I'm sorry, Isaiah. Isaac. I'm calling you everything but your name. I got Alex on the brain for some reason. But yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, definitely hit the like button. It's a free way for you guys to support the channel. And if you guys haven't as yet, we got 92 people in here right now and 82 likes. So we're close, but we can do better. I always like to have the likes more than the current number of people in the live stream. Some people come in and out. So if we're below, that means some of you guys have come in and you haven't done your part to help support the channel. So please do. Cost you nothing. Really would appreciate it. Cedric G is up next. He says, Big Ron, no questions tonight. Just wanted to check in and support the live stream. I appreciate that, sir. I will come support the Real Roller event. Turf up, Fert down, stripe action forever. Look forward to it, man. It'd be cool to really meet a lot of you guys. What's going to be funny is all you guys know what I look like, but I have no idea what a lot of you guys look like. Some of you have seen like on your Instagram, your pictures, but it's going to be weird how much people were like calling my name, and I have no idea who you are. I'll be like, hey, Ron. I'll be like, hey. And then you have to tell me your name because I'm not going to know who a lot of you guys are. I know what Daryl looks like. So I've seen him on YouTube. But yeah, it'll be cool to put, again, faces with the names, which is always a fun time. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to playing some cornhole. You guys can make fun of me. I really like playing cornhole. I'm not very good at it, but yeah, we'll have to still have to have some fun doing that. Higgy Pop is up next. He says, hey Ron, happy Friday to everyone. Looking forward to next Saturday. Hit the like button. Yeah, nice, Higgy Pop. You're gonna be out there too? Good times. Doug 350Z is back. He says, Jim, also check out the recent warm season and cool season pre-emergent video on Ron's channel. Yeah, so I've got a video that I did showing how to mix pre-emergent for cool season and warm season grass. I've got that video here, which I did it as a live stream first, and then I took snippets out of the live stream and turned it into a video. So if you guys want to see that, there's links to the actual full live stream in the description of this. But if you want to see that as well, you can check this out. So we'll say fall pre-emergent video, and I can't spell. You guys have to forgive me. It'll be fine. I promise. You can make fun of me. Just be one more thing. But yeah, check that video out and you'll be able to see some options for both cool season grass and warm season grass. I cover rates, all that kind of stuff that give you a couple of options for keeping weeds out of your lawn this fall and spring. And Jim says, my lawn is in California, small yard, 800 square feet. Yeah, man. So you are a prime candidate for the Prodiamine and granular, or get that small one. If you have a backpack sprayer, that small little 5 ounce, do I have one? Like one of these guys? Something like this is you can't see that because that one doesn't autofocus. This is a good option because it's nice and small. You just use exactly what you need, and then it goes on the shelf in the garage, out of the way. You don't have to have a big bag to store. But it is more work. You need like a small scale to measure this out. You do need a backpack sprayer and be comfortable using it. So it's a bit more work, but as far as just having a smaller footprint, it's kind of tough to beat this, right? And especially given you have a 800 square foot lawn, this is a good option as well. But by far, the granular Prodiamine is the easiest. Literally, put some in your sprayer or your spreader, set the calibration properly, and away you go. So it doesn't get much easier than that. TK is next. He says, I overseeded a bit late here in New Jersey with perennial rye. If my frost comes earlier than expected, do you have any tips to protect the young grass from frost damage? Not really. If all you can hope for is that it's mild, TK, I don't really have much of tips for that. I mean, it's, hopefully it grows in and that it gets established well enough that it survives it. But if you get a really hard freeze, that's going to likely damage your existing lawn in addition to the new grass you just put in. So no, I don't really have any tips for you. I mean, check around on YouTube and see if there's any of the cool season YouTubers that are doing something similar, if they have any tips on it. But I don't believe there's not going to be a whole lot you're gonna be able to do for that, unfortunately. I mean, you're not going to be able to like warm the soil or put blankets down or anything like that to keep the grass from seeing damage. All you can do is just hope for the best and hope that the first frost that you get is relatively mild. So. All right, next up is Rio the Hitman. He says, thanks, Ron. This is a tough one. It is, man. Deciding on a reel mower is no small thing because I would say this too. You know what? I didn't actually point this out, but it's an important consideration as well, Rio. Whenever you're deciding on a reel mower, something to consider is what you can also get worked on in your area. You know what I mean? So I didn't mention that, but that's really, I got really hung up on cutting and the quality of cut and slopes and all this kind of stuff, but really, choosing your reel, the first consideration you really should make is what can you get parts for in your area and who can work on it. So who can you get to sharpen it and who can service it, assuming you're not going to do it yourself. That's really important because the last thing you want is to go out and buy, a true cut and there's no one in that area that works on true cuts. There's no true cut dealers. You can't get parts for it, I mean, Reel Rollers has got you covered. So that's one thing. If you have a true cut, Reel Rollers will be able to get you pretty much most of what you need. If you have a Greensmaster, Jerry Pate can get you most of what you need if you're going to order it. But then again, if you're not going to, someone that's mechanically inclined, you're not going to be turning the screws yourself, then in that case, that's where, having a place nearby that can actually work on it and fix problems is something you want to consider as well. So if what I was giving you as far as tips on cutting height, stripe action, if that's not enough, then also, maybe considering who can service it will be the deciding factor. And if you can get both of them serviced, then again, for me, for a flatter lawn, I would lean more towards the Greensmaster because the cut is just so much better. It's just, it's another level as far as the quality of cut. You're very, very welcome, sir. And then you said, I need to check if they need sharpening. Indeed, thanks. Yeah, so check if they need sharpening. And again, like I said, see who can sharpen them. See who can do the work as far as sharpening them in your area, because that is the most important thing about a reel mower. Like, people will get hung up on, should I get a California trimmer? Should I get a Greensmaster? Should I get, a True Cut? I mean, all of them will cut really well. I mean, a Greensmaster will cut better than the other ones, but really, if the most important thing for a greens mower is that it's sharp and that it's set up properly. If you do those things, then you're gonna get a pretty good result with any of them. In other words, for the average person, like if someone that's not really into lawn care walked by a lawn and saw that and it was cut with a True Cut or a Greensmaster, either way it's going to look incredible. It's going to look way better than any of the surrounding lawns in the area. Now, for someone that's got a good eye and is really picky, they'll be able to say, oh yeah, the Greensmaster one or the Greensmaster section, it looks better. They may not be able to say why, but they're going to say that area, that lawn it's tighter. Like the cut's better, it looks better, right? But I mean, you are definitely getting into diminishing returns once you decide to go that route. But it's definitely better, man. I got to tell you. And another benefit too is if you are mowing frequently, so you really get into this, and you're mowing, every other day during the summer, a greens mower is going to put less wear and tear on the turf as far as like carving ruts in the lawn. The only negative, this is the only thing I wish that the True Cut did, is that the drive wheels on the back were wider. I wish they were wider, or that they had gone with like a rubberized rear drum, all the way across. Something like that would have been really nice, but then it would be like more of a drum style mower. That would make a True Cut perfect in my opinion, but that's not what we have. And the one negative is that if you mow frequently with it, you're going to get good stripes, but the areas where the rear rubber drive wheels in the back go on the lawn, you are going to see that area the grass being mashed out a little bit more than the area that's just being hit by the front roller, because the weight of the mower, the weight of the engine, the rear of the mower anyway, is being supported by just those two spots. So it makes sense, because due to physics, that the grass there is going to see more weight and get pushed down more and get flattened more than the other part. So if you do that often enough, what you end up seeing is that you can see ruts. You can see like mild ruts in the lawn. Again, we're being picky here, but that's something that you're not going to see with a greens mower. So something else to consider. I know I'm just making it harder for you, right? Get both. There's always an option. You can always do both of them, right? Like, why buy one mower when you can buy two for twice the price, right? There's always that. All right, next up is Chris Howard. He says, new here. How do you submit a question? Just like what you just did, Chris. So just type your question into the chat and I work through them. If you answer a question or you put a question in and I don't get to it right away, it's just because I haven't gotten there yet. But just what you just did is how you submit a question. Like you just submitted a question and it just got up on the screen. So if you have a question, drop it in the chat. Looks like we're going to be a slow night tonight. I might get out of here a little bit early. We'll see. But drop your question in the chat, and that's how I pick them and go through and answer them. Next up is Teron Jones. He says, what would you recommend for newly planted lawn with washout? About 70% of the seed germinated, but it's thin. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, you said you had washout, but I mean, if you got 70% germination, I'd take that. That's not bad. Okay, so it's newly planted, 70% germination, and it's thin. Well, I mean, new grass is going to be thin, Teron. What I might do is the areas that are thin, or that have germinated at all, I'd likely put more seed down. So the areas where the grass didn't germinate, I would add more seed and see if you can get some germination there. And then once the grass begins to get established, just start mowing it. Like the best thing you can do for grass once it's established and rooted in is just to mow it. Like that's going to help it. It's going to help produce more growth. It's going to help encourage more growth, and there's tons of benefits to doing that. So yeah, I don't think you're doing it wrong, man. 70% germination isn't bad. And the thin areas, that's what more seed is for, right? So just add some more seed, and just begin mowing it once the grass is more established. Kathleen Gamble is up next. She says, hello, Ron. How are you? I'm doing well. I cannot complain. She says, how do you get rid of mushrooms out of the grass? Thank you. So this is a question I get every week, and I don't really do a whole lot about mushrooms. I'll tell you this, that in most cases, I'm not sure how bad it is in your lawn, Kathleen, but mushrooms tend to be like a 2-hour problem, or if you want to call it a problem per se. Like you'll see them, particularly after there's been a lot of wet weather, a lot of rainfall, and you'll see them in the morning when you wake up. And then in my lawn, in my case anyway, by 10 o'clock in the morning, they're gone. They kind of shrivel up and fall over. Now, It tends to be a problem that is, or they tend to, you see them more when there's more moisture. So if you are watering your lawn a lot, like if you're watering every day or a ton, try reducing the watering. That will help with reducing how much mushrooms you have in your lawn. Something else that I did too that I noticed is that, and this is not really a solution, but something I noticed just as a byproduct of a new mower I got, is when I started turf raking my lawn. So I kept the thatch levels low. So I was not letting a lot of thatch and debris build up in the lawn. That stuff holds on to water, which makes it more likely for you to have mushroom issues or to have growth of mushrooms. I need to stop calling it issues because it's really not an issue, but it's more likely for you to have mushrooms in your lawn. Ever since I started doing that, like integrating the cultivation practices with the outlet, I hardly ever have mushrooms in my lawn anymore. It's not really a thing like it used to be in the past. But again, I really wouldn't do anything about it. I really wouldn't worry about it. It's a moisture thing. So what you'll find is if you had a lot of rainfall, so if you had like a string of a few days with rain, that's where you're going to see mushrooms more often. If you're watering a lot, you're going to see mushrooms more often, and it tends to only be for a couple of hours typically in the early morning. You know what I mean? So if you're watering a lot, reduce that. And honestly, I really wouldn't worry about it. There's not much I really wouldn't do anything about them. If you want my opinion, so hope that helps. But again, you've got some things to try. Reduce the watering if you're doing a lot of that, and then at some point, if you have cool-season lawn and you want to try turf raking it to remove some of the thatch, again, lightly doing it, not really aggressive. I have found that helps as well. But that's a lot of work for something that, in my opinion, is not really a problem. So there you go. Next up is Latanja Moore. She says, "Hey Ron, just checking in, and I hit the like button. Thank you so much, Latanja. I appreciate that. Didn't cost you anything, right? Now, was it expensive? Was it painful to hit the like button? Hopefully not. You just went over there, moved the mouse over, and clicked it, and there you go. You're supporting the channel. You're doing your part to ensure that this humble little live stream, sticks around. And I definitely do appreciate it." Brian Woods is up next. He says, "Letting everyone know that I asked a question to Ron Henry about a reel mower, and he gave solid advice." Well, that's good. Thank you. I'm glad I didn't give you bad advice. While I didn't go with the Sterling, I did go with the Kensington 20H, and I'm pleased. Thanks, Ron. So we got a new mower in the house. We're going to clap it up, man. We have to do it. Yep. I will, well, here's the thing, Brian. I am an expert on my opinion. I'll tell you that much. And as far as reel mowers, I have not used all of them, right? Like I've never actually used a Kensington H myself, but they're well reviewed. I mean, I want to say the Kensington is still Allet's most popular mower. I say even with their newer mowers, they sell more of those than any other mower. I believe that's right. On one of their videos, they said they were talking about it, and it's one of their most popular mowers. So yeah, I mean, you made a good choice. The big thing is you got a reel mower, man. Now, the thing that's going to help you to continue enjoying it, Brian, is maintenance. Make sure you keep it nice and sharp. Don't run over anything other than grass with it, and you're going to really enjoy it. If you can sharpen it once per year, maybe a little backlap, and keep it sharp, typically just once per season, and you don't mow anything else other than grass, so no twigs, no pine cones, definitely no concrete. Done that, got the t-shirt. You're gonna get a long life out of that mower, and it's gonna cut for you for many years. That's the big thing with reel mowers. Keep them, only cut grass with them, which sounds, you shouldn't have to say that, but for people that come from rotaries, where with rotary mowers, even with rotary mowers, you really should only be cutting grass, but rotary mowers are less finicky. That's probably a better way of saying it, but less finicky if you happen to hit a pine cone or run over, a twig or something like that. They don't really care as much, whereas a reel mower, it does care, right? You really got to be careful, or, be a little more, cognizant of what you're running over whenever you're mowing with it, if you want to keep it nice and not have to, have expensive maintenance. So cool, man. Use it in good health. At some point, send me some pictures of the lawn. I'd love to see how the Kensington is working for you. Yeah, Rio the Hitman is back. He says, "The golf superintendent told me that the Toro 2100 goes up to 1/2 inch. Maybe you're right. I should get both." Yeah, so the 2100, if my math is right, it's like 15.7 inches. That'd be nice. 15.7 millimeters, which I just ran it through a calculator here. And that is 0.62 inches, thereabouts, right? So just over 1/2 inch. So yeah, and here's the thing. I don't know if there's any issues if you run it that high, but yeah, I mean, maybe getting both. That way that solves a couple of problems. One, you can compare them. You can decide which one you like more. You can always sell the one you don't like, and you got a backup mower. So until you sell one of them, then you got a backup mower, right? So there's something else to consider, Rio. But if you go out and you buy two and you get in trouble with your significant other, I'm not suggesting it. I'm just trying to tell you there's some benefits to having, more than one mower. But I'm not saying you're not going to say that Ron co-signed. Well, yeah, I kind of am co-signing doing it, but just keep my name out of it. If you decide to do it, that's on you. That's all I'm going to say. All right, next up is Brian Woods. He says, I even skipped officiating Friday night lights here in Texas to play with my new toy. Nice. That's cool, man. So you skipped football to go to play with your, I mean, that's a good reason, man. That's a good reason. I mean, I get it. Getting a new piece of equipment is sweet, and nothing like a fresh reel mower, nothing cuts like a brand new one. So I completely understand. I would be lying to you if I didn't say that I might do the same thing. All right, you're very, very welcome, Teron. No problem at all. And then next up, we got Jim Carson. He says, in California, we have 1 month before fall starts. We mean fall weather. I mean, fall is still technically started. It's just not cool yet. Can I still install Bermuda sod, 200 square feet? Yeah, you can. I mean, here's the thing. Your temperatures are warmer than where we are in Georgia, apparently, Jim. And around here, sod is installed all throughout the year. When houses are built, if the house is completed in December, like when this place was finished in December, the lawn was sodded in December. Like literally, and if you think about that from a standpoint of when to sod Bermuda, that's really, you would not think that'd be a great time. And really, it isn't the best time to do it. But again, it's Bermuda, so it's going to be just fine. Like the following spring, as soon as we got some heat, it rooted in just fine and took off, and you see what it looks like now, right? So if you can, with you still having, another month of warm weather, I wouldn't feel bad about putting sod in, especially with you being in SoCal. Your winters are probably like how ours are. They probably don't get super, super cold. And if you do, it's not like an extended period of time like New Jersey, where you got, weeks on end, maybe month on ends, where it's freezing temperatures and it's just really hard on the grass. You're not going to have that where you are. So yeah, I would go for it. If you absolutely want to do that, install your sod now, go for it. I mean, do all you can to get it to root in. What I would tell you is this, Jim, if you want to give yourself every advantage, if you are going to do the sod, I would go to the golf course lawn store and get yourself a bag or two of carbonized PN. So go there and then go to Miramichi Biostimulants and put some of this stuff down. So for 200 square feet, here's the thing. You can go really heavy with this. If you want to get like a couple of bags, you can absolutely do it. Like it's not going to hurt anything, because where carbonized PN really shines and what it was actually designed for was to help with plant establishment. So if you put sod in, if you apply this before you put the sod down, so in other words, the sod gets sandwiched, or the carbonized PN gets sandwiched between the sod and the underlying topsoil, is going to help the lawn root in faster. It's also really good if you have ornamentals, you have trees that you want to help grow in and help them do better. Using some carbonized PN is also going to help with that as well. So yeah, that's the only thing I might say if you're going to go for it this time of year as far as doing the sod. Get yourself a bag or 2 or 3 of carbonized PN, lay it down. Going heavy is not going to hurt anything, and then lay your sod on top of that, and that's going to help improve the result you're going to get. It'll grow without it, but it's going to be even better if you use carbonized PN. So that's the only other piece of advice I'd give you. And the only other thing is take pictures. Take pictures of the process before, during, and after, so we can see how it does. Next is Rio the Hitman, where he says, I have perennial rye / Kentucky bluegrass lawn, and I am in Arkansas, and we are hilly, but I'm working on that. Okay. Good to know, Rio. Good to know. So this is a question around your reel mower. So if you have ryegrass or KBG and it's hilly, see now if it's hilly, now when you say hilly, is it hilly? Do you have like a slope like what I have on my front lawn? In that case, the Greensmaster can work, but the True Cut is going to be easier to live with on a slope than a greens mower is. I haven't seen your slope, but the True Cut's just going to work better on uneven lawns than a greens mower. So that's a consideration, something else to keep in mind, but if you're just talking about a mild slope, rises and falls, then the greens mower work fine. But if it's anything kind of extreme, or in your case, you use the word hilly. You didn't say slopes. When I think hilly, I'm thinking like a hill, and the True Cut's going to do better on a hill than a Greensmaster is going to do. So just something to keep in mind. And you're saying the normal temps are 95 to 105 with fun weekends of 111. Yeah, so if those are the kind of temperatures you're still getting, Jim, by all means drop that sod. Go ahead and do it, man. Get it done. Yeah, that's going to be just fine. You got plenty of heat to be able to get that lawn to that new sod to establish nicely. I would absolutely do that. Ryan Wolfel is here. He says, "Hey Ron, once our Bermuda season is over, is there any dormant season projects to do, like soil temperature, soil amendments, or anything? Thank you." Yes, it's a great question, Ryan. So if you get a soil test done, right, and let's say you're like how a lot of the lawns around here are in my area, where the soil tends to be a bit acidic, right? So as the season progresses, our pH tends to get lower and lower. What I will do is I will do a lime application. In my case, the last couple of applications I've been doing a dolomitic lime, because I also add some magnesium at the same time. But yeah, that's something you can do while the lawn is in dormancy. That is a great idea. Get your lime application down, water it in, or if you can wait until there's rain in the forecast, you can apply it and then let Mother Nature water it in. And that's good because pH takes a while, or it's slower to adjust than like your macronutrients. In other words, if you were to go out and do an application of nitrogen, you were to go measure a month later, you'd see that change in the soil within a month. Within a couple of weeks, you should see that in the soil, assuming your pH is in good shape. Whereas pH, to make an adjustment, I would say that you really want to measure that in like 3-month increments, in quarters. So yeah, that's something you can absolutely do. Get a soil test done, and if you need a lime application, you can do that. Additionally, if you live in a part of the country like Georgia where it doesn't get super cold during the winters, or not cold enough for the ground to freeze anyway, something you can do even while the lawn is dormant is to do a granular biostimulant product like Essential G. So it's the grandfather to it, but if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and Miracle Green Biostimulants, this product, Essential G, is biochar, compost. It's got some coffee grounds in there, some humate, some silicon. It's got a bit of everything in there. It's a really, really good product. And this is something you can apply in the off season. You can apply this every month. As a matter of fact, I've applied this from starting in 2020. I did Carbon Pro G at first, but as of last year, I've been doing Essential G every single month in my lawn. So as long as you live in a part of the country where the ground doesn't freeze, this is something you can do in the off season. So that and pH adjustments are the only things I'd really say to do in the off season. Outside of that, just enjoy the time off. Just relax and wait until springtime rolls around. You got to be out there mowing and working and doing everything again, right? So while you have the time off, enjoy it, right? Enjoy it. That's what I would say. All right, next up is Dwayne's World. These are our last comment, guys. We are finishing up early tonight, only 2 hours tonight. It's been a while since we've gone that short. Where he says, "Hey Ron, since your outlet uses Greenworks batteries, do you have any plans to buy other Greenworks products that will work with the batteries?" Not really, because it uses the Greenworks commercial batteries. Like, it uses the 82-volt ones, like the big ones. And like some of the options for that are like they have a blower that you can stick it in, and like the batteries that I use are some of the bigger ones, right? So if you ever, I've seen videos of people using those batteries in those products, and because the battery is so heavy, like the ones that I'm using, especially the bigger ones, it tends to not balance that well. And another reason is I already have a blower. I've already got my Still combi system, so I don't really need anything else. So no, I don't have any plans to buy any other Greenworks products at this time anyway, to take use of those batteries. So I'm going to keep using my gas-powered string trimmer edger, my combination setup, and save those batteries for the outlet. Well, guys, look at that. It's a short night tonight. I know it's 2 hours, which for us is really short, but there's no more questions, and I think we are about out of time. As always, definitely consider supporting the Golf Course Lawn Store. There we have a pre-emergent. It's not too late to get your pre-emergent down. Get that down. It's one of the best things you can do to keep weeds out of your lawn, so you're not having to spend a bunch of money on expensive post-emergent herbicides later on in this fall and also in the springtime. Also consider doing a preventative fungicide application. It's something that I like to do. It's a great idea for preventing lawn diseases both in the fall, but also more importantly, ones like spring dead spot that you really can't do a whole lot about once they show up. Well, guys, again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Be sure, if you guys can, make plans to come over to the Real Rollers Turf Park on October 8th and come hang out with us, man. It's going to be a great time. Football, grilling, football on, cornhole. Would really like to meet a lot of you guys, put names with the faces, and it would be a great time. Okay, and then Jim Carson says, what is the show or Real Roller Turf Park Party? Yeah, so the Turf Park Party is an event that Real Rollers is putting on October 8th, not this Saturday, but a week from tomorrow, October 8th in Buford, Georgia. I will put I'll put the address in the description of this video, and it's free to come. It doesn't cost anything. You can come hang out, try a bunch of different mowers, meet some YouTubers. I'll be there. Some other YouTubers will be there. It'll be a great time. Yeah, if you're in the Georgia area or within an hour or two of this area, by all means, come and hang out. It's going to be a fun time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have an amazing weekend. Until next Friday. Take care.